The NBA trade deadline is a few hours away. Deals have been made. We're going live early. Michael Bolton, sorry to do this to you.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm not tired. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Double bangers unite. Good to have you guys here. All the pre-bangers as well. We had 1,800 likes before this show went live. So I do appreciate all of you guys. Get you banging out on the show. Watch the audio or watch the video. Later on, you can go read, download, listen to the audio. And we're going live because trades have happened. I was up early and they just kept coming and they just kept coming and they don't stop coming. You know what they say, in the immortal words of Smash Mouth. So we're here to talk about what's going on. Now, I'll just give a quick caveat out here. I know you guys are going to be asking very specific questions. Ad, drop. It's very hard for me to get to all of those ones. I'm trying to give some basic overview type thoughts and advice on players. It's very hard to. I will take questions from people without doubt. I just cannot get to everybody. It's impossible to do. With the thoughts of what happens, but also the thoughts of what happens now as I'm recording this at 4:09 a.m. might be different from the thoughts that occur at 7 a.m. in 3 hours' time, or the thoughts that occur at 9 a.m. once I've gone in and actually dug in and fully granularly adjusted all the projections, because that's the basis of everything I do. We project it out, we balance it out. So this is just sort of off-the-dome stuff that's happening, and there's going to be things that change and adjust as we go through it. So there'll be this initial reaction show right now, and then I'll go in, I'll go and do all of the adjustments that I need to over at Basketball Monster, fix everything up, and then come back with another show that is more specific on things that have happened and where the values change and all that sort of stuff. We good with that? Good to see everyone in here. I know there are a bunch of the regulars in here. I've seen a few of you guys in here already. Unfortunately, Ricardo's here as well. We've got who we got in here? We've got Bradley. We've got Here We Go, Matt Carmody. I think you're from Ireland, aren't you, my guy? I saw Yuri in here. Just heaps of people here supporting the show, which is great. All right, so we're here to talk trade deadline. You don't need me shouting out everybody the whole way through. And let's start off with the first deal that went down. We saw Marcus Morris and Furkan Korkmaz head to Indiana in exchange for the big fella, the small fella, the old fella, man. Do you know what? The old fella is like slang for a penis in Australia. So there you go. Buddy Hield heads across to Philadelphia. We heard the talks of Buddy Hield being traded in the offseason. That never happened. I was a little bit skeptical whether they do it, but they did it. So what does this mean in this trade? Well, I don't think that the Morris and Korkmaz part mean anything. I don't think they're really going to play at all. Morris will be behind Siakam and will be behind Smith and Turner and Toppin, so he's not going to play. Korkmaz, barely anything. So on the Indiana side, it just frees up stuff. It means Nembhard gets more minutes. It means Mathurin gets more minutes. It means McConnell gets more minutes. It probably means an extra couple of minutes for Nesmith. Nesmith's just the guy that we roster in 12-team leagues. Nembhard, I don't think we do. Mathurin, probably more of a 12-team points league Mathurin, but not a 12-team category league. He's on the fence in that one, but I'm not sold on that one there for Ben Mathurin. As for Bud Hield, I would expect when they are healthy, excluding Embiid, that he won't start. It'll still be Melton and Batum that start with Harris, Reed, and Maxey. And then Hield and Oubre coming off the bench. I think this kills Oubre, honestly, because Oubre is not very good. He's a way worse shooter than Buddy Hield, and he sort of does the job that Buddy Hield should do, in that he's out there to take shots, but he's just not as good at it. So while I think Oubre was already sort of on the cut list, I think this further cements that. I don't know whether this increases Hield's value, because Hield's value is all over the shop. It probably does, because he had the risk of playing 12 minutes a night some nights in Indiana, or 20 minutes a night, and he should be getting 26 to 27 here. What it also does in Philadelphia is, if anyone had any hope of Jaden Springer pushing up into a regular role, well, that's just not likely to happen. The Sixers did also clear out Daniel House Jr., so there is some space there, but on a healthy team, he was playing 14 minutes a night anyway, so it's not a big deal. So I think Hield is okay to add. I wouldn't say that this has made him this awesome top 70 player or anything like that. Maybe 100, maybe 110, something along those lines, around that area. Again, just sort of as a weak eyeball on that one. The next trade. Your Toronto Raptors make another move where I go, what are we doing? Masai, what are you cooking, my guy? Because he trades for Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji, and he gives up Otto Porter Jr., who cares? Kyra Lewis Jr., who cares? And a 2024 first. And I know all of you legendary Toronto people, who are actually my favorite people, biggest fans of the show ever, are going to rush to defend your savior Masai Ujiri, but this team's going nowhere. Why are you trading away a first-round pick? Well, we've got lots of them, Josh. We've actually got the 31st pick. It's actually a better pick than the 29th. It's not. It's a worse pick. It's actually 2 spots worse, plus less salary control, so it's a worse pick. But why are you doing this? It doesn't give you more cap space, because the 2 guys you sent out are expiring contracts, and Agbaji isn't. Olynyk is, but for a backup center, now I guess you could make the argument that Kelly Olynyk will start next to Jakob Poeltl. I can see that. You push Barrett down to the 2, Scotty Barnes to the 3, Olynyk at the 4. Olynyk is a good player. He can shoot, he can pass. But on this team going absolutely nowhere, that's getting worse and worse, what does Olynyk do apart from being Canadian? And Agbaji, don't even get me started. He's bad. And if you're going to use the justification that trading for Agbaji, well, it's great. He's actually a former lottery pick. Cool. He was a former lottery pick in a year where the GM lost his mind and thought he was a lottery pick. I wouldn't even pick him in the first round of that draft. He's already almost 24 or 25. I just don't think he's very good at all. I would much rather use the 29th pick on someone who could have been 5 years younger than Ochai Agbaji and be under cost control for 4 more seasons. It's not a horrendous move. It's just a head scratcher. Like, are you trying to get better so you don't give the pick to the Spurs this year? Also, you do give the pick to the Spurs this year? So you don't finish in the bottom 6 so that the pick goes away and it's not 7th or 8th, that it's like 10th or 11th? Is that what you're trying to do? You're not making the playoffs. Playoffs? So I don't really know what's going on. But I think there is a chance here that Olynyk is strictly the backup behind Poeltl. Yes, it probably does hurt Poeltl. Not enough to drop him. I'm not dropping Poeltl. It probably does hurt Poeltl a little bit, but I could see Olynyk starting. Because the guy that's starting at the moment is Gary Trent, and I'm not sure they're sold on that. And they also might make more moves here too. And I better, like, as we're doing this, I better just go check to see what's actually going on, because there might be moves that are flying through here. And I see that just an update on the Gordon Hayward deal, which we'll get to soon. But yeah, that's where we sit with that. So yeah, I'm sure Raptors fans are being completely normal in the chat here as well as we talk about this. It's just confusing. And I know Raptors fans defended the trade for Poeltl when that happened as well. We'll see. Do they go and re-sign Kelly Olynyk now? Like, what's the point of it? This obviously kills any Thad Young value. It further banishes Chris Boucher to the nether regions. Nether regions? Cool. Like, he's just not going to play. Olynyk might become useful. I think that could happen. Agbaji, I'm just not interested in. Like, not even remotely close. There's no path, I don't think, unless they trade like Barrett and quickly again, which of course won't happen. He's just not very good, and I don't think it's going to do anything. The Jazz, it just changes a ton. I think this opens up a lot for Taylor Hendricks. A lot of people ask, man, does this do anything for Walker Kessler? I'm not all that, I don't care, really. And this is why I don't care, because Walker Kessler should just be on all rosters in 12-team category leagues. In points leagues, I get it. It could improve Kessler. It might. But part of the problem was they didn't like playing Kessler and Collins together. And moving away from Olynyk doesn't mean that they'll like playing Collins and Kessler together anymore. So they can still play. The other problem is there's no small forwards on this team whatsoever. I thought that Agbaji would get first crack at replacing their departed starting small forward, Simona Fontecchio, and that won't happen. So does Markkanen have to go down there now and play at the 3? I would be very, very interested in Taylor Hendricks. Hendricks fits well with Kessler. I think he fits okay with Collins. I think this does boost Kessler a little bit because him and Collins are going to have to play together. But it means Kessler has to be in the rotation now. Like there's no argument here. With Olynyk gone, he has to be in the rotation. So would Taylor Hendricks be a 12-team league player? That's where it gets a little bit like hard for me to suggest because it's an upside play And I do think that they should be trying to get him into that role where we're in a situation where there is a much larger opportunity for minutes. But it is, I don't know, it is a little hard for me to see that as a guaranteed must-provide value. Look, there are other moves that have happened today that I think have a better chance of providing value than taking that crack at Taylor Hendricks. Although the upside of that, I think is really interesting. I think he's going to have to play to some degree. The other thing they could do as well is they could start someone like a Luka Šamanić, which again is pretty disgusting, but they could do that. And the one I would hope for is if they would give an opportunity to Bryce Sensabaugh, but he's played 12 minutes all season. So that seems like that would be a little bit of a way off. They could, again, Taylor Hendricks is not a small forward. Kevin Knox is not a small forward, but Larry Markkinen is not a small forward. But maybe they play Markkinen and they have Knox and Hendricks there. Hendricks is the interesting one. I think Kessler does get a couple more minutes, but I don't really know. That one still remains pretty confusing to me. I don't think it really impacts someone like Keontae George. I don't think they're going to go with the Clarkson, Sexton, George as a starting combination or anything like that. So I don't really think there's a huge impact there on him. It's just going to be really interesting to see how they run that because they've taken all of the small forwards away and left with only Markkinen. I mean, again, there's no backup there, but that means it's going to have to be Hendricks, I think, unless they're going to go with Knox. But surely this is a Danny Ainge saying, come on, let's see what happens here. Let's try the Taylor Hendricks stuff out. So I'm a little bit interested in what he can bring. That makes it pretty interesting. Today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built in right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. It has room for up to 8 people, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capabilities. With 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds of towing, when adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. So take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. All right, so that's sort of where I'm at with that at the moment. We'll get on to the next trade. I'm just here trying to self-produce this show, which happens. All right, so what's the next move that happened? It's this one, if it ever comes up on the screen. There we go. The Charlotte Hornets trading away Gordon Hayward. They get back Trey Mann, Davis Bertans. I believe there was an update to this. They also got Vasily Micic from the Thunder 2. Good, because they don't have any point guards, but this is a little worrying to me about where we're at with LaMelo Ball. I'm a little concerned about that. But this is a very interesting deal. As for Hayward, I don't know that he starts. I guess he could start over Giddey. I guess he could start over Dort. But I think he's just going to be like a perfect sort of sixth man for them. It really hurts Cason Wallace. It hurts Isaiah Joe. It probably hurts Hayward. I'd say he's on the fringes of 12s. I wouldn't be like, we've got to go rush to add Gordon Hayward. He can be a good player. There's obviously no risk of shutdown. There's always a risk of injury, but I don't think he's going to just be a clear guy that comes in and starts for the Thunder or anything like that. Trey Mann's the interesting one. I've been telling you for a long time that I think Trey Mann is going to get dealt, and I think that if he finds himself on a bad team, he could get free reign to put up numbers. Well, he's on a bad team. The problem here is, with the Hornets at the moment, is the status of LaMelo. If LaMelo is out, then I think Mann is going to play a lot and get a lot of shots. He's still got Miles Bridges to play alongside, and PJ Washington's going to take his shots, and Brandon Miller's going to be the number one guy. But Mann is in almost the Taylor Hendricks area for me, whereas I don't mind this. I don't really know exactly what they're going to do. It might take a few weeks to get there, but I think it does get there eventually. It's a little stashy, and again, if you're making moves right now, I think I'd want to get something that's more guaranteed to happen, like something in Washington perhaps. But Trey Mann, this is one I've been waiting on. That's one I knew was going to happen, not to this team, but I knew he was being dealt. That was one of the ones I felt pretty confident with. And he's got a new home on a situation that could end up perfect, but it is going to depend a lot on what happens with LaMelo. As for Micic, there's not much there, and Bertans is really not going to play too much. So that's an interesting deal for sure. One, again, that was quite a long time coming. But, that's where we go with that. What do we do with the next trade? Am I up to the next one? Let's see. Just as I, again, self-produce this stuff. Oh, what happened there? Oh, there we go. Daniel House Jr. was traded to the Pistons from the Sixers, and I don't really know what came back. No idea what came back in that deal. So, yeah, that's just sort of... The Pistons, I think we can almost skip past that one because I don't really know what the Pistons are up to necessarily, which is a pretty common statement that someone might have. I don't really know what they're doing. They've got like 21 players under contract at the moment, and obviously you can't hold that many guys, so guys are going to have to be cut or further traded on, and their roster remains a complete mess. We'll talk about the Pistons more in a little bit because they were involved in a big deal here. They send out Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks back to the Knicks. In exchange, they get Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, second-round picks, and Ryan Archer-Jacquino. So, the big thing here, let's talk the Knicks side, Bogdanovic and Burks. What this signals apparently is that OG Anunoby's elbow injury is not great and that he might be out an extended period of time. So this undoubtedly does hurt Bogdanovic in the long run because when Randall and OG play, he's going to be probably a bench player who plays 28 minutes. But at the moment, Randall's out and OG's out. This kills anything of the big sneeze. Like Achua's done. Like that's finished. He's not starting a power forward anymore. I'm pretty sure of that. I think that's over. Bogdanovic will be not a cut right now, but I think he will end up there in weeks' time, but that's going to depend on the return of Anunoby. Alec Burks, I don't think we need to have him in 12-team leagues. He just basically slides into the 22 minutes, I guess, that Quentin Grimes was playing. And then that'll push down to a smaller role. And then when those players do return, like your DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Burks, they'll again be back in that same spot they were when Quickly was in that position where there was not enough minutes for them to hold value. That's, I think, what will end up happening. But for the time being, I think we still hold DiVincenzo pretty obviously. We hold Hart. We hold Bogdanovic. I think we could end up dropping Achua in this spot. And then I think in the end, Josh Hart will become a drop because you'll have Anunoby and Randall back and he'll go back to 27 minutes off the bench. And you'll have Burks not being a 12-team league player. But that one's pretty interesting. Like that's a really good deal from the Knicks because they didn't... Grimes is a good player, I like him. But they didn't give up a huge amount to get some improvement here. Now, as for your mate, Las Vegas resident Troy Weaver, who let this guy cook? What are we actually doing here? Why wouldn't you have traded Bogdanovic at any other point where you could have got first-round picks back or Alec Burks when you could have got a first-round pick back? Instead, you combine them both to get no first-round picks back. And the guy you get back, I like Quentin Grimes a lot. He plays the exact same position as Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. So what's the point? You're trading for him to be a sixth man? That's your first-round pick compensation in this deal? Like, is the man an idiot? Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know what he does. He's basically now, again, this is ownership problem as well, is that they put themselves in this terrible situation and given them an edict, you've got to go and make trades. And he's traded like 8 guys already. Like a third of the roster, half of the roster might be different. Why? And still, like, have they even gotten, let me try and think, have they even gotten a first-round pick out of any of these deals? I don't think they have. They traded out Bagley and gave up picks to get off him. Fontecchio they gave up picks to get him. I don't know. I don't know. Now, as for, like, I don't think Grimes is going to start. I think that Fontecchio will start in place of Bojan. And I think eventually Isaiah Stewart will come back and start. So while we think this might be, it's free Asar Thompson time, I think it's almost a straight swap for Bogdanovic for Fontecchio now. And Asar has short-term value because Stewart's out, obviously. But I don't think it's as clean as he's getting 33 minutes a night now because they've just opened everything up. And then Grimes is going to just take, I'm guessing, the Burks role and play those 22 minutes or so coming off the bench. Just a quick check to see if anything else is going on over here. Also, shout out to like Twitter for like just still not working. Every single moment I'm on it. Hey, you've got like what's it telling me? You've got we have trouble connecting. Please hit to refresh. It's anyway. That's going well. Just go to Threads then, man. It's way better now. That's the cost of freedom of speech. Cool. Yeah. And let's go to whatever the last trade is that that we need to catch up on. Well, this is actually the big one. The big one that's happened. The big one I think that's important for fantasy the most is they did actually, the idiots did actually trade Daniel Gafford, Washington, and we don't know exactly what they get back. Apparently they're getting something back that's via the Thunder, but we haven't heard how that works. So Daniel Gafford goes from the Wizards to the Mavericks. We'll talk about the Mavericks side of this. This, I think, kills Derek Lively, and I feel okay about dropping him. I think it probably ends up killing Daniel Gafford, but I wouldn't drop him yet because A, Lively's out, and B, in 26 to 27 minutes, Gafford can still be good, or good enough to hold on to. So I don't think we're dropping Gafford. I'm feeling okay about dropping Lively. As for Washington, no, I am not trusting Rashawn Holmes at all. Not at all. I am adding Marvin Bagley. Now, Marvin Bagley is going to have the issues where he doesn't get any assists or steals or blocks, and he's a bad free throw guy. But he's going to get a lot of opportunities to put up big rebound numbers, to score, and be a good field goal player. That is to me, the clearest must-add guy here. We can speculate on Hendricks. We can speculate on Trey Mann. We can speculate that Olynyk gets a start in Toronto. We can, like, what other ones? That's probably the main ones there that I would say. Like, we can speculate on Buddy Hield. We can speculate on Nembhard or Mathurin. But the winners to me here, the big winner at the moment is Marvin Bagley. That's the pretty clear, at this early stage with 6 trades done, the Bagley one is pretty clear as the guy to go and grab there, I think. A lot of other stuff could happen, but, yeah, we're not there. Welcome, everyone. If you are here, hit the like. That would be sick. Share it out to your friends as well. What do we want on here? 20,000. I want to hit 3,000. Come on. Let's get 20,000 going in here. And let's go in now and... I'll get to some questions of you guys in a second, but let's first of all tell you that today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. It's also the easiest and the most exciting way to play DFS. It is you against the numbers. You pick more, you pick less than on 2 to 6 individual player stat projections, and you just watch the winnings roll in. It is demon time on Prize Picks. It's also demon time here in Australia. And you can now win up to 100 times your money. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. The sort of picks you associate with demon time aren't usually Prize Picks, but, you know, demons and goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at Prize Picks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks also offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this basketball season. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Okay, so now we wait for more trades to roll in. I'm just going to go do a quick cursory look to see if any more information is coming through, and we're sort of settled on this. Well, it appears that Miles Bridges won't get traded. It appears that DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans is not really happening. Some interesting stuff going down. Are we in the eye of the hurricane? Yeah, Matt, I think we might be. Just sort of waiting on things to happen. Isn't Grimes a natural guard? Yes, he is. He's a shooting guard who can run as a point guard. So he will play behind Ivy and he'll play behind Cade and battle with Hayes and Sasa for minutes. Sorry, Burke. Just if you want to just pay me directly, I won't do the Prize Picks ad. That's okay. So there's no point me ranking the standard ads after the trades now because there's going to be 10 other trades that come that completely supersede what I've said. But literally, I just said, like, Marvin Bagley is the one that we're looking at. But we would do all this again. Do you want me to go off half-cocked and give you bad advice in the moment? Or I'll give you a thought when things roll through with some sort of broad overviews. And then later on, we'll dig into stuff with more detail. Can't Gafford play the 4? Absolutely not. No, he cannot. Not in a million years. No. He cannot. Don't be fooled by the fact that on a lot of fantasy sites, Gafford has power forward next to his name, because that is clearly a lie. He is not a power forward. I don't think Asar is a winner, Ryan. Maybe, but not necessarily. Fontecchio replaces Bogdanovic. Grimes is there now. I think there's a slight win for him, and I do think he's worth having at the moment, Asar, but I am very much not convinced. Biggest losers so far. Gafford's a pretty big loser, I would say. And Lively, they both lose value. I think Bojan will end up a loser unless that Anunoby injury is a serious injury, and maybe that could be it. Could I speak why this hurts Gafford? Because he's not going to be playing 30, 31, 32 minutes a night. The upside of his minutes in Washington were huge, and they're not huge in Dallas. I think he starts, and I think he probably plays 25 to 26, but that's not 28 to 29. I am still holding Gafford, but it does hurt him. Should I drop Achua for Hendricks? I don't think you need to hold on to Achua. Lively is the loser droppable. Come on, just say it. I just said that he was droppable. I just said it. Thanks for the all caps. BBM projections are all being updated after the deadline. I've gone through and updated everything right now as cursory as I can. Before I went live, I went through and adjusted that with a quick change of minutes. I haven't gone through with a fine-tooth comb because, again, a million things are going to change in the next couple of hours. And then once all that settles, we go back in and make some moves. But as things happen, moves are being made. With LaMelo out, Micic will have some opportunities. He's clearly better than Mann or Nick Smith. Is he, though? Is he? And what's the point of him being as a 29-year-old rookie on a team that's going nowhere? What's the point of them giving him big minutes? I'd say there's no point, personally. And I wouldn't bother adding Micic at this point. Is DiVincenzo a big loser? He seems like a good bloke. But I think in the end, he does lose out, yes. Burks is not going to take over from DiVincenzo. Dante's still going to have a pretty big role. But once they get healthy, just having Bogdanovic there as an extra player hurts significantly. It hurts a lot. All right. What else have we got? I'm just checking in. Just, sick because, thank you, Elon. Masterful Gambit, my guy. The Twitter's just not updating for me, which is sick. Why do I pay any money to this absolute idiot? Great. Yep, so nothing else going. So we're in a bit of a dead spot. All right, cool. Dead spot legends. Do I think there's a deal in Atlanta for Murray or Capella out the door? Don't know. I thought that Murray was gone, basically. They've seemed to have walked that back. Everything I've heard about Murray would suggest that they'd be stupid not to move on from him. But I don't know. I don't think Rashawn Holmes is an ad. I know I've seen that bandied about a little bit. To me, it's very clearly Bagley that I'm looking at there. Holmes at least should play now, but not enough to really matter. But again, there's just a million things that can still go down here. How will OG pan out when the Knicks are healthy? Probably a bit worse than he was. They won't play him 38 minutes, but it's Tom Thibodeau. So you won't need to play him 38 minutes, so we'll see how that goes. Any Xavier Tillman usage to be had? You guys need to understand what usage is. Because, again, it's been thrown at me about a million times today already. No, there's zero usage for Tillman to have. There's not even minutes for him to have, so no. Will the Cali O trade affect Jakob Poeltl? I think it will, yes. But Poeltl, remember, before the OG trade, Poeltl was playing confusingly 26 minutes a night, which made no sense. And then he went up to 33 minutes a night, and that was great, and we love that. And I think that Olynyk arriving will probably take a couple away from that. But again, I do think it's possible that Olynyk just starts at the 4 and pushes Scotty away from being the 4, which would think would help Scotty probably a little bit as well, and then move. But then you still run into that spot of you have the shooting problems, but Olynyk's a good shooter, so I guess that offsets some of the Gary Trent stuff. And then that pushes a further squeeze onto Trent and to Brown and to Schroeder. So yeah, is Olynyk a good pickup? I don't think he's a rush to pick up. Is it Angel or is it Angel? I don't think Olynyk's a great a great like must-grab player, but I can see it happening. Is Fontecchio an ad? I don't really buy into Fontecchio. He's a not very good fantasy profile player who's still going to have Ivy and Cunningham and then Stewart and then Asar all around him. He's sort of a nice guy that fills in the pieces, can be a three-point streamer. He's not Bogdanovic. He's not the usage player Bogdanovic is. He's not a free throw guy the way that Bogdanovic is. I don't see him as a must-add guy. If I could tell you the Miami stuff that I heard, I would tell you, but it's nothing to do with the trade deadline. Is Beef Stew an injured stat? We have seen Isaiah Stewart as a starter for years. And I think you'd agree with me. He hasn't been very good. So I would say no. But, of course, when you've got an open injured slot, who cares? I wouldn't burn an ad on it to go and add him to waste a waiver move to put him there, but otherwise, sure. Is Sasa going to have 12-team value? Don't know. Don't think so. The problem here is there's still Ivy and Cade still exist, and they're still ahead of him. And now they brought in Quentin Grimes as well. So I'd go out on a limb and say absolutely not. Who's the center for the Wizards? It's going to be Marvin Bagley, I'm almost certain. Is Marcus... Man, some of these questions are not questions I thought I would have to answer. Is Marcus Morris worth a risk? If your league counts 0-minute performances, then sure. Where do you think Marcus Morris is playing? What role do you think he is playing? Some of these questions are just like, wow, I don't get it. Killian Hayes requesting a trade probably hurt him. What do I think of NBA players requesting trades? I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it hurt him, but it's fair enough. Like Killian Hayes is like, hey, I know I'm not in your guys' plans. Can you like send me somewhere where I can play? Which is exactly what the Trey Mann situation was. There's nothing unreasonable about that. This is not a situation. It's like, get me out of here immediately. It's like, bro, if you're not going to play me, can you send me somewhere else? Hey, we'll try. Okay, cool. That's what that is. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. With all the guards in Detroit, is there a worry on Ivy's value? No, I don't think so. No, I think we're okay with that now, thankfully. Bagley over Paul Reed in points? Yes, 100%. Is Gafford starting? No idea. I can't tell you 100% on anything. But given that Derek Lively's in surgery for his face, and the fact they went out to get Daniel Gafford, I would suggest that he's going to start, but I don't know that. Why is Bagley an ad? Well, this is why. Because Daniel Gafford is now a center in Dallas. I'll put that back up as the last trade that happened, so you can see it. Just waiting to see if there's any more news that comes through, but there isn't at this point. Vasily Micic traded. Very interesting. I mean, it's not that interesting. I remember people arguing with me about Vasily Micic in the preseason, telling me that he was going to start over Josh Giddey. Which is obviously not going to happen. Yeah, there's a lot there. Anyway, it's good to have you guys here. Look, have you told your friends? Are we up to, you got your 20,000 mates in here watching? Because that's where we need to get to. Let's see. Does Walker in Indiana start playing any minutes? No. Again, have a think of how it happens. How do you get there? This is how we talk. This is how we need to think. So their current starting power forward is Pascal Siakam. Their current starting center is Miles Turner. Jarris Walker's a 4/5, so he's not going to start over Siakam or Turner. Their backup center is Jalen Smith. Their backup power forward is Obi Toppin. He's probably not going to play over those guys. He probably should, but he won't. They also just brought in Marcus Morris, a power forward center, and they have Isaiah Jackson there, a power forward center. So I'm going to say absolutely not. Like, he probably should, but nothing that's happened today would suggest this. Does this help John Collins? I would have to think yes, it does. Giving him an extra, like, it's more about a security of his floor, but in 5 minutes, he could be traded as well. It gives him security of his floor. Will Gafford still get 30 plus minutes? I would be very, very doubtful that happens. What's the projected Sixers lineup at the moment? Well, it's really hard with the injuries, but let's just take Embiid out of it. I did say this earlier, but we'll do it now. Maxey, Melton, Batum, Harris, Reed. The exact same starting lineup they've been running. Now, you could suggest that they start Hield instead of Melton, or they start Hield instead of Batum. That's possible. But I don't think there's any guarantee in that. So I think it's basically the exact same lineup, except Reed's in there for Embiid. would Bojan be the backup to Randall when Randall gets back? Yes, like him, or however you want to phrase it, whether it's Bojan or it's OG that's the backup for, then yes. Nah, tell us how you really think about DiVincenzo. Is he a loser? Yeah, he seems like a terrible bloke. He's always asking for like money and bumming cigarettes off you and stuff. What are my thoughts on Trey Mann? Welcome to the show for the first time ever. Calvin, I just said that I think he's going to be interesting. There's an opportunity there, but it all hinges on LaMelo Ball, whether he returns. Is Micic going to be in the rotation? Don't know. Look, I have not been super impressed with Micic coming over here. He's better than Ish Smith, but Ish Smith also has 16 years of NBA experience and a little bit of trust there from old mate Steve Clifford. No, someone asked me, is Richaun Holmes an ad? No, I don't think so. Will Dennis Schroeder's minutes take a hit? Well, they've already taken a hit, so I would say that sort of about the same. What's my projected starting five for Detroit? Well, this is the problem with Detroit, right? So we can go through and talk about Detroit now because... Oh, here we go. Oh, Dennis Schroeder's gone. There you go. To the Nets for Spencer Dinwiddie. That lets me come in and do my thing, which is this. Oh yeah, this is yesterday's work. We have a trade. Dennis Schroeder to the Nets for Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't understand it at all, to be honest. Not really at all. I guess it takes, yeah, like I don't know. It's a Dinwiddie's an expiring contract. We're not adding Dinwiddie, by the way. I think this can help Schroeder a little bit, but I don't really get it. I don't know. Maybe someone can explain it to me. I don't really get that one. I'm trying to process this live as we go through it. I'm just trying to make these adjustments on the fly here. Pick up some stuff for you to look at. But yeah, Dennis Schroeder goes to Brooklyn in exchange for Spencer Dinwiddie. I would not add Dinwiddie. He's not an ad. He's a very clear drop. This is, you were thinking that, yeah, there's a possibility that if Dinwiddie is dealt, that Dennis Smith becomes that guy, but bringing Schroeder in stops that. Even if you're to say that Smith starts, which I guess is possible, it's not going to be enough minutes would be the guess. That would be my guess. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I think I tend to agree, Tim, that Schroeder will get lost in Brooklyn. He was already not playing enough minutes. Albert thinks the opposite. It's a boost for Schroeder. Schroeder's such a low upside player that with Simmons healthy, with Smith around, with Cam Thomas there, I don't really look at that as a clear must grab situation. I don't think that's how we should view that. But, let's see. Did this update on the fly work? It did. Spencer Dinwiddie goes to Toronto, Dennis Schroeder goes to Brooklyn. Yeah, I don't see that as anything that's earth-moving or ground-shaking or anything providing us with fantasy value there. I wouldn't rush to add Dinwiddie. I'd be happy dropping him. I wouldn't rush to add Schroeder. I'd be happy dropping him. I wouldn't rush to add Dennis Smith. I don't think that's going to be what happens there. But there you go. So there is that. Very, very interesting, though. Yeah, very interesting to a degree. Back to Detroit, someone asked about. They've got 22 players on their roster at the moment, including the three two-way. So there's 4 players they need to cut or trade on. So they've brought in this. This is crazy. They brought in Archie Giacono, Troy Brown, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn. That's 4 new players. Daniel House. That's 5. Shake Milton. That's 6. Quentin Grimes. That's 7. Simone Fontecchio. That's 8. Muscala is 9. Gallinari is 10. How is this idiot franchise allowing the man that put them into the hole to be the worst team of all time, the worst losing streak of all time, and then say, cool, go out and switch out 2/3 of your roster? The only guys remaining are Cunningham, Ivy, Duran, Thompson, and somehow Isaiah Stewart. Marcus Sasser as well. And James Wiseman, of course. Just absolute profound idiocy on that team. Profound. I don't think Quickly gets a hit because Spencer Dinwiddie's arriving. Like, Spencer Dinwiddie is bad. Yes, thank you. All right, yes. So Dinwiddie's unrestricted. Schroeder has got another year left. They might be down a guard for all those. Dinwiddie was barely getting consistent minutes. He was getting way more minutes than Dennis Schroeder was. Like, way more minutes. I still have Joe Harris staying. No, I think he's gone. But where? Like, he hasn't been traded anywhere. I just think he's going to end up cut. The guys I've got cut at the moment on the Pistons are Fournier, Brown, Harris, and Archie Giacomo, but I don't know. They've got to make a lot of cuts. They've got to make 4 cuts still. Killian Hayes is still there, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. He's another one still on the roster. Yeah, my bad. Dinwiddie buyout? Like, maybe. Maybe. Does Schroeder get a bump? Like, I'm not... From what he was doing at the start of the season, no. From his 25 minutes at the moment, maybe. It's not enough for me to care that much, I don't think. No idea, Guilford. It differs for everyone. It's normally within 3 days, but it does differ for everybody. So there's no set rule for that. Does this affect Ben Simmons? I think only positively, honestly. Like, Schroeder's mid. Spencer Dinwiddie is mid. Like, these aren't good players. They're not like... Yeah, they're not good. I'm pretty sure that Simmons is going to start and Dinwiddie is going to come off and Schroeder's going to come off the bench, which, again, doesn't make it a good option for him. It does help Cam Thomas quite a bit. It probably helps a little bit for Lonnie Walker and Royce O'Neal and those sort of players. I don't think there is a clear... Yeah, I don't think this means good things for Schroeder necessarily. But again, we need to see how everything plays out. Because they could move O'Neal, they could move Finney-Smith. Man, this Raptors team. Really no idea what they are going to do at this point. There's in their rotation, I've got way too many minutes projected in Toronto. Way too many. I need to go and adjust all of that. That's it. There's a lot happening there. Let's go back and do a quick update on news. Oh, Thad Young is going to the Nets as well. There we go. I don't think that does anything for Thad Young. But he's a part of the deal. I guess that's part of the cost of... Actually, I don't even know. I don't know. I guess, yeah, it's getting off of salary, but yeah, what's Sean Marks doing? He's like working his way up, Shawnee, into being like a pretty rough GM, I think. But, you know, he's got the Master Messiah to go up against, so no one's going to be able to win that one, are they? Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to process all this stuff in real time. That's what you get when you get a live show. Jordan wore a bump. Not really, because it's basically a 1-for-1. And you've already added a Baji, and you've already added a Linux as well. So, absolutely not. Read chat, Ben Smith says. Cool. Would you like me to spend my time reading the chat or trying to process what's going on? Which one of those would you prefer? All right, let's just update that with the full details of that trade on there. Will it open up Chris Boucher to get minutes? No. Boucher's done. Give up on Boucher. It's finished. He's over. He's finished. Yeah, I'm out here adding Thad. You're right. Does the Wiz trade affect Denny? Not really. I don't see how. It's a center for a center, so no. Hey, what? Woj changed the tweet and took Dennis Smith Jr. out of it. I didn't know Dennis Smith Jr. was in the trade to begin with. So what did he have? What am I looking at? Dennis Schroeder for Spencer Dinwiddie. Clarify, Thad Young is coming to the Nets in the trade with Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, okay. That's what we thought. Yes? People asking me the question. Now, if you ask me on Twitter, you have to come into the live to hear about it. Sorry, guys. I'm not missing Dennis Smith Jr. because Dennis Smith Jr. is not a part of the trade. Unless I'm missing something here. Like, Dennis Smith is not being traded. Where are you seeing Dennis Smith? because unless, again, is X, is Twitter not loading? Because I can't see anything on it. Because all I can see is Woj saying, clarify, Thad Young is coming to the Nets in the trade with Dennis Schroeder, sources say. The Raptors are trading Dennis Schroeder to the Nets for Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't see Dennis Smith's name mentioned anywhere. So, to the people saying I'm a dummy, Dennis Smith the typo. Thank you very much. Cool. Dennis Smith is not being traded. Woj just updated it like he is not being traded. Yeah, it's wrong. It was Dennis Schroeder, not Dennis Smith. He said it was wrong. I think he got it. Yeah. Because Woj deleted that Dennis Smith tweet. The Nets have to now waive somebody. Yeah, so Smith not gone. Got to update something on Basketball Monster. Clutch Point. Mate, do not trust a single thing that Clutch Point says. Yeah, I'm not working on Basketball Monster at the moment. But yeah, they'll adjust it. I'll just leave a message. All right. So there you go. No Dennis Smith. I don't care that it's on RotoWire. Like, I don't care. Woj tweeted it out, and it was wrong, and he's walked it back. Oh, yeah. Clutch Points is disgusting because most of the stuff they put. It's so bad. Legion Hoops is worse. All right, new rule. If you tweet in all caps, I'm not answering you. Where do I see Grimes finish rest of season 13 team points? Nowhere near anywhere you need to roster him. Is Olynyk a must? I wouldn't say it's a must. I wouldn't say Olynyk is a must. I would say Olynyk might be an option to start. I would prefer to add Bagley over Olynyk, but I can see a scenario where Olynyk does start and plays 26 minutes and is useful enough. I can see that as an interesting option. Which keyboard am I using? I've got no idea. Logitech Silent Touch is the name of it. Nets reporter says, I wouldn't be shocked to see Dennis Smith trade follow-up later. He feels duplicative with Dennis Schroeder. Why? Because they're both Dennis S's. Or because they need to move on from someone as well. But that hasn't happened yet. If Smith does move on, again, Schroeder is going to be Ben Simmons' backup, but we know we can't really rely upon Simmons to be a long-term guy. So maybe, but Schroeder is so mid with such low upside that I'm not that interested in it. Is Rashawn Holmes a chance to start? No, I don't think so. What are my thoughts on Omarui? Well, he's a two-way player who's an undersized center who's going to be the third-string center that we don't really need to care about, I say. No, I don't think Taylor Hendricks is a must roster. I think he's a possible guy to add. Possible. I don't think it's a must roster situation. I think we could get there, but I don't think we're at that spot yet. Like, it's not like it's a guarantee that he's jumping into the starting lineup. I think he might have to at some point, but that's more of a, let's sit on this and see what goes on. Like, again, Bagley feels very strong as an ad. Olynyk is much better, or feels a bit more secure to me than Taylor Hendricks. But I do like the Hendricks and Mann upside swings. Did I hit my live viewer guide? I don't think so. Are we at 20,000? No, we're not even close. Not even close to 20,000. We're at 4,000. Come on, we need to do better than this. I know we've got a few hours to go. Like at the moment, I'm projecting Hendricks at 24 minutes a night. But, that could easily jump up. Their roster's pretty hard to work out at this point. And there still could be more stuff coming. The Raptors, they look pretty weird at the moment. Their roster's pretty weird. And I think they still need to, because honestly, why are they bringing in Dinwiddie, Abaji, when you would think they're trying to give minutes to Dick, but they're just not. So yeah, things are a little weird there, I think, for the Raptors. That's all right. RJ Barrett will steer them into the 13th seed. The Pistons are waiving Joe Harris, so there you go. That's one. There's 4 more to go. Another great Weaver move. What a legend this guy is. Wish I could get paid that much money for being as incompetent as he is. Some might say that I am as incompetent as he is. Shout out to the haters. All right, let's see what else is going on here. How's Obi? He's asleep, man. He woke up before, but he's asleep. Does IQ lose usage and playing time? Nope. Nope, not at all. I don't think so. Buddy Hield is not a must roster for 10 teams, no. As it stands, Dick is not worth it at the moment. Correct. I wouldn't be seeking out Dick. Espresso demolish, yeah. You know what? I had to go back to the old Nespresso machine because the big machine downstairs stopped working. Should add Obi to the trade alert graphic. You know what? That is Ernest. That's a cracking idea. I should do that, but I definitely don't have the ability to do that right now. But it is a good idea. In the future, maybe I'll include Obi as part of the graphics packages. Who are the top players to pick up so far? This is what the show becomes really hard to do because we're here with everyone watching and there's someone jumping in new every second. So it's like, hey, what do we do? Who do we add? All right, every 10 minutes, I'll just keep saying it. Marvin Bagley is the guy to add. Derek Lively is a pretty solid guy to drop. And then in the end, like most trade deadlines, there's a bunch of maybes. Like maybe Kelly Olynyk. Derek Lively probably a drop. Bojan Bogdanovic probably ends up a drop. Like Hendricks maybe an ad. Mann maybe an ad. Hield probably an ad. Mathurin maybe an ad. Nembhard probably not, but maybe. Who's available to score points on the Pistons? Ivy and Cunningham? Yeah, Ivy and Cunningham. Raptors projected starting 5. Quickly Barrett, Barnes, Pirtle. Those 4 lock them in. Then the other spot is going to be between Trent and Olynyk would be my guess. I wish they would just say, we aren't giving up first round picks for 31-year-old Kelly Olynyk and start Grady Dick, but who knows? We'll see what they do. Asar, again, it's very easy to say Asar is a winner, but I'm not sure that he is. I want him to be, but I'm not sure that he is. I don't think he's going to start. I think they'll start Fontecchio and Stewart. But Stewart's out, so Asar will start short term, but they brought in Grimes as well. They brought in Fontecchio. They've got 1 million players on that roster. So I think the days of Asar playing 20 minutes are gone. Him getting a 30-minute role, I'm not so sure. Yeah, look, roster him, absolutely. Why does it feel like we are not excited enough about Asar? They did the whole thing all year was will they trade Bojan, and they just did. Yeah, no, the reason they wouldn't play Asar is because of spacing and shooting. And trading away Bojan does not make Asar a shooter. That's part of the problem. So again, when they are healthy, I believe it's going to be Ivy, Cunningham, Fontecchio, Stewart, and Duran. I don't see Asar Thompson in that group. Maybe Asar Thompson starts at the 3. I don't think they're going to. They acquired Fontecchio and gave up picks to get him for a specific reason. This does help the floor of Asar, and he's probably playing 27, and he probably should be on a roster. But this is not the clear home run thing that I think some people think. Do I think Kessler pushes for top 50, 60? Not necessarily. Again, part of the reason... Olynyk wasn't the reason that was holding back Walker Kessler. The hold back of Walker Kessler was he doesn't space the floor. He doesn't pass, so we can't really pair him with John Collins. So while I think there's more chance for those two to play together now, it doesn't mean that Kessler's playing 30, I don't think. Evan, that'd be a great idea if I had have thought of it in advance, but I absolutely cannot go and design that and create that right now. Sorry. Is Nick Richards a drop? Why? What could have possibly changed there? Ben Simmons is a big winner. It's really just about health for him. If he can play 28 minutes, then sure. Bagley over Josh Hart for the Knicks? Yes, I think so, yes. Is Quickly still must roster? Yes, absolutely no reason why he wouldn't be. Is Fontecchio an add-in 10s? Not even remotely close. Olynyk, now, Albert, I like this question. Do I think that Kelly Olynyk can be a top 100 player in 28 minutes? Yes, I do. The question that I don't know is if he's going to play 28 minutes. But if he does, then yeah, like he very, very easily is. That's the tough part is, do they play Barnes at the 4 or do they play Olynyk at the 4? Or is Olynyk strictly a backup center behind Pirtle? I think there's a chance that Kelly gets there. I think it's probably more 26, but I'm not sure. I don't think Fontecchio is a must-roster player. I just don't think he's got a great fantasy game. Like, he's not going to be an assist guy. He's not a steals or blocks guy. He's not going to get to the line. He's not going to take a ton of shots. He's not going to score a lot. Both Fontecchio and Assar both can't be ads. Like, Fontecchio's a nice 14-team league guy, I think. Why is Bagley an ad? What happened? Daniel Gafford got traded. All right. Guys. Things are running very slow here. But we have a trade. And this is one I talked about yesterday, I think it was. PJ Washington has gone to Dallas for Grant Williams. That is huge for PJ. That kills Derek Jones, but that is huge for PJ. That gives him an opportunity to be a consistent enough starter. I wouldn't add Grant Williams here. Make sure PJ is rostered though. And I think he's going to be rostered in most spots. But I think that's pretty big for him to go there. I'm not really sure, as per usual, not really sure what the Hornets are doing. But, that's where we're at, isn't it? Yeah, that's an interesting one. So Grant Williams, they gave up like a really weird unprotected pick swap to the Spurs to get Grant Williams. Let's hope that doesn't come back to bite them. I think it's in 2030. So it's PJ Washington for Grant Williams, Seth Curry. Oh, they get a first out of it as well. Interesting. Okay, that's not bad. Okay. All right, that's where that trade sits at the moment. It's really okay. Trying to figure out how to value that deal. As I'm trying to just get my numbers going. So yeah, trying to figure that one out. So PJ is not starting. Or has PJ, I'm trying to think where PJ is starting. Let me go and have a look at the Hornets rotations. PJ's sort of been in and out. I'm not adding Seth Curry, who goes back to North Carolina, which is interesting. I'll just put the details of that trade up for you guys to see. So it's PJ Washington. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, well, first screw up on the production side. This should be better. There you go. PJ Washington to Dallas, Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a first to Charlotte. So let's look what the Hornets' rotation was. No, PJ hasn't been starting. Okay, so there we go. Because they started Leaky Black. Whether Grant starts or not, I'm not sure. I'm definitely not adding Grant Williams. But PJ should be rostered. That means that the backup center, Nate Mentz, is going to have to push up again. JT Thor, they don't have another center now because obviously the mechanic Mark Williams remains out. Is it a Nick Richards boost? Yeah, it is actually. JT Thor in deep leagues? Probably yes. Am I dropping Gafford or Hartenstein or Claxton for Drummond? What? Jesus Christ, what? No. What? No. Why would Drummond be traded to the Pacers? Do you mean Sixers? No. What source do I use for rotations and depth chart? Basketballmonster.com, the site where I do the rotations and the depth charts. Jaden Ivey or Keontae George? Has to be Ivey. Has to be. Yeah, okay. It's a lightly protected 2027 first round pick. They're going all in here. I don't think that Grant Williams is a pickup. I just don't think he's very good. He's got not a very good fantasy game at all. He's one of those guys that you might look at a ranking and see that he's 140th because he has 0.2 turnovers. And you go, great, I could have added Lonzo Ball for that. I don't think he's an ad. PJ Washington is must add, yes. Is there a chance Dinwiddie starts in place of Quickly? I'll tell you right now, Liam, absolutely no way. Like, no way. Like, not even remotely close. There's zero chance that is happening, as I need to have a drink here. Isaiah Joe, not in the three-point contest. Is the NBA normal? This man's been the best shooter in the NBA, or one of the best shooters for like 2-3 years. Is Cody Martin must add? He's close to it. Yeah, look, he is pretty close to that, I think. Because they're just clearing out so many bodies. So, yeah, I would say Cody, his upside's really low. But I would say yes to Cody Martin, I think. I'm not super confident with that, but I think so. All right, just wait for some stuff to go down. That's, yeah. PJ Washington's way better than Grant Williams, I think. He was sort of, I don't know. I don't know if dicked around is the right word. It's pretty close to the right word. Just making sure, looking at the times. I've got a guest coming on in about an hour that we can talk through some stuff and get someone else's voice that isn't mine. The Hornets need to waive people, though. They definitely need to waive people. There's too many guys on this roster. They have got, well, one of them is going to be Lowry, but they've still got two extra players here that need to go. And I don't know who they're going to be. Maybe it's Book Night. It probably is. And it's probably, well, no, but Barnes has got like a player option for next year, hasn't he? It's not going to be him then. It's got to be Ntilikina, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay. Dante is not a drop. Absolutely not. I don't know why you would consider him a drop. Yeah, maybe Nick. I don't know if I'll put like a standing graphic up of who the ads are. Because again, I think that gets really misleading in the end. Because that list is going to change a lot. It's very hard for me to also to make those mental calculations on the fly as we're doing this. So I think in the end that probably ends up hurting more. Is Miles Bridges getting shut down? Like, just stop with shutdowns. Like, get them out of your head. Like, sure, again, you shouldn't. It's very easy to structure a league so that's not a problem. No, Grimes is not a must roster in 12-10 points league. Not even remotely close to it, I don't think. Is this must add for PJ? Yes. Dallas is way too packed with the Derek Jones role rather than THJ. I mean, no, like, I don't think Derek Jones impacts PJ Washington really at all. Yeah, Cody Martin is interesting. He's probably getting up there with one of the more interesting guys to add. We are grabbing Keontae George. Nothing has happened in Utah to open up any minutes for Keontae George. I don't think. Why do I think Lively is a drop? He should still start over Gafford. I don't think he will start over Gafford. And even if he does start over Gafford, he's not going to play 29 minutes. Gafford's not there to play 19 minutes back up. Explain effect of PJ going to Dallas and what it does to Gafford. Nothing to Gafford. PJ won't play any center for Dallas, I'm pretty sure. It's just getting an upgrade over the Grant Williams, Derek Jones position. So PJ plays his 30 minutes or so playing at power forward. Still waiting to see if there's any more info coming through. At the moment, there's nothing else. The PJ one is interesting. Well, I'll have to go back and have a look at some point to see, which of my most likely players to be traded worked out. Trey Mann worked. Evan Fournier worked. Alec Burks worked. PJ Washington worked. A few of them have worked. Not saying that they're all like, that some of them weren't obvious, but a few of them worked out. It's not going to be everyone, of course. Okay. So I'm just taking a look at the Mavericks roster, seeing how that looks and plays out. Yeah. They've gotten better, for sure. 100% they've gotten better. But, what does that mean for us fantasy-wise? I would rather Cody Martin than Caleb Martin. So no time for Kleber and Powell. Look, no, Dwight Powell's not going to play. Kleber, very limited minutes, but his minutes are going to be reduced. Yeah, for sure. Is Kennard must roster? Absolutely not. Gafford is not a drop. Is Vince Williams still a hold? Yes. I want to drop Drummond for him if he gets traded to the Sixers. What? No, you want to drop Williams to get Drummond. Don't drop Vince Williams. Josh Hart is probably a drop. Yes, probably. Is Dallas a serious threat? Oh, not yet, no. I think I would hold Derek Lively in 14-team league. I would hold him there. Okay. We have got another trade coming, guys. Brooklyn is sending Royce O'Neal to Phoenix for salaries. Don't know what that means. Salaries doesn't really tell us anything. And 3 second-round picks. Okay. O'Neal, we're not adding him anywhere, obviously. It helps them. It gives them someone who's reliable coming off the bench. But, yeah, I just don't know what's going back in that deal. So I'll hold off on assessing that completely until we get a little bit more info on it. But Royce O'Neal, so what this can do, actually, we've said to be watching out for Jalen Wilson in Brooklyn. This opens up minutes for Jalen Wilson. So we will see. We'll see what that means. And yes, waiting to find out what the compensation is for Brooklyn in this trade. But that is a little interesting. There's definitely players going back. Again, people will ask this. No, Royce O'Neal is definitely not a must-add. He's coming off the bench, playing 23 minutes a night, I would guess. Just Charlotte clearing out everything. This is massive for the usage of Bridges and for Brandon Miller as well. Like, they are going to have so much usage. And it could be massive for Trey Mann if LaMelo is gone. But we don't know that yet. So I'll just put that. I think I'll put that trade graphic up for what we know at the moment. And we'll update it when we get more information. But that is a bit of a nothing for a fantasy point of view. If you haven't hit thumbs up and you're in here, go and do that now. The biggest gainer in value is Marvin Bagley. Trendon Watford boost. He's maybe not enough for us to care, though, I don't think. It's going to depend what they end up doing with Finney Smith. I think the interesting guy is going to be Jalen Williams. Eventually. But we're not quite there yet. Or not Jalen Williams, Jalen Wilson, sorry. Just too many Jalen's. Get new names. Did I put the right graphic across? I hope so. There we go. Royce O'Neal to the Suns, the Basmati man. I don't think Micic could feature in Charlotte. Like, what's the point of them featuring a 29-year-old rookie? I don't think it's going to be enough to really matter, honestly. He might play. I'm not convinced he's going to get a lot of minutes. Bogdanovic, more minutes? No. The opposite. Less. In the short term, maybe more, but otherwise he comes off the bench behind Randall and Anunoby. And then he's on the bench with Burks. He's on the bench with DiVincenzo. Probably not DiVincenzo, actually. On the bench with Hart. So absolutely not. Long term, no way. If you have LaMelo, Mann is a must-add. Yeah, look, I'm not convinced that Mann is going to be this great option. He could. Everything's sort of starting to set up for it. But I don't mind that. I think there is something there. This Hornets roster it still looks really messy. Like, really messy. They've got to cut guys. There's no backup center at all. Because Mark Williams is hurt, obviously. There's the uncertainty around whatever the hell is going on with LaMelo Ball. Yeah, it's just really messy. Really messy. All right, I won't hit the trade update, but there's an addition to this trade. David Roddy is going to Phoenix as part of the three-way between Phoenix and Brooklyn. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know how this works. Suns retain assets, including a second rounder. Okay, so what are they giving out? What's Memphis' part of this? Also, Memphis sending David Roddy to solidify their playoff rotation. Have they ever watched David Roddy play? That would be a question that I'd be asking, because if you're out here telling me you think David Roddy is going to be the answer, then I think you might be wrong. Yeah, just quietly, think you might be a little bit wrong. But, there are David Roddy believers. They don't live in this house. Well, I'll have to check with Obi, actually. Is he a David Roddy guy? Probably not. But yeah, we're not adding David Roddy for the love of actual God. Does it help GG Jackson in Memphis? Probably yes. Is it enough for me to consider him a must roster? I don't know. Not super convinced of that. It might be the case. Because I still feel there's going to be so much shenaniganizing, just updating this graphic to put David Roddy on that side. We still don't know what's going on with what's going to Brooklyn or what's going to Charlotte. Not to Charlotte, to Memphis, sorry. Okay. But it does open up some stuff there. A little bit more security for Aldama, a bit more security for GG Jackson. They're probably... Santi should be on a roster, although, again, I have no confidence in his night-to-night availability or production. GG, I guess it's a flyer. He's in the Hendricks/Mann bucket, and I'd much prefer getting the top 10 pick like Hendricks, or even another first-rounder like Mann versus a two-way contract player like GG. But this does open up another roster spot. Actually, you know what this does in Memphis? It clears a roster spot for them to convert Trey Jemison to a full-time contract and to convert G.G. Jackson to a full-time contract. So that's really interesting. So that means that maybe Jemison actually becomes an ad. Trey Jemison might be an ad here. I think this might convert him to a full contract. Phoenix now has 2 roster spots open to pursue additions on the bot. Well, that'd be great if you told us how they have that, because they just brought 2 players in. So who did they send out? Shams, anything, my guy? If they've got 2 roster spots and they brought 2 guys in, did they send 4 players out? What did they do? Shammy, come on, mate. Is Brandon Clark going to return after All-Star? I don't think so. I don't think... Yeah, I think he maybe comes back late March. Nick Richards should see an uptick. There's no PJ Washington. There's no Mark Williams. There's literally no centers on this roster. Yeah, Shams, what are you talking about? Again, information would be great. Because none of that makes any sense. I'm going to guess like they just dumped like Bates Diop or... I don't know. Trying to figure it out. Memphis guy is saying he's shocked that Roddy was the first of their wings traded. He's useless. Don't be bothered. Be happy that he's gone. He's so bad. Man. I don't think that's much of a move or anything like that. I think the Suns grabbed Drummond. Lol. No. What? Yeah, I'm watching for Jemison here. It's alarming there's an hour and a half left to the deadline. The Pistons have done nothing else. Yeah, I know. They've only acquired 11 new players in the last week. Who let Troy Weaver get behind the grill? Cody Martin, 14-team category. I think Cody Martin might be a 12-team category league guy, honestly. We've got an hour and a half to go until the deadline. Do I think Dante DiVincenzo is going to take a hit? Eventually, yes. Yes. Not at the moment, but yes, eventually. Bagley is the biggest winner so far. Yes. You should add him. Yes, you should. Does Utah clearing space help Clarkson's minutes? Not really. All the guys they've moved on from are front court guys. Doesn't really impact Clarkson at all. Drop Zubats for Bagley. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Zubats has got pretty low upside. This solidifies Cam Johnson. Yeah, if he wasn't hurt, it does. But he's hurt. But yes, it does. Do I think Jeremy Grant is getting traded? I do not think Jeremy Grant is getting traded. Reed or Bagley? It's probably Bagley. Do we get ahead of it with Jemison? Well, that would depend on a lot of things, Jared. I do think it's not sexy at all to get Trey Jemison, but yeah, I think it might be. I think it might be interesting because, again, it's opening up. I think it's opening up roster spots, but like I don't know because we don't know who's going back, and apparently now the Suns have created roster spots out of thin air, so we've got to pay attention to that. But yeah, I still believe that this team is going to be incredibly frustrating with the way that they run their rotations. But Jemison becomes pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. But they're going to be, I think, the messiest team all season. I wouldn't bother picking up Richaun Holmes. No, I would not bother with that. It's lively a drop. It would depend on who you add. Who won the OKC trade? Who cares? Like, that's... Like, no offense to you, James, but who cares? Like, Charlotte did what they wanted to do. They got themselves a young player to see what happens. Oklahoma City makes themselves better. Could they both have won? Yeah. Could the Hornets, you think, could have maybe squeezed a first-round pick out of a team with 1 million of them in the future? You would have thought they could have, but they didn't. So, let's say OKC won. I don't believe that Fontecchio is a 12-team pickup at this point. No, I don't. Man, sometimes trade deadline makes people think some crazy things. I saw someone said, man, does these moves mean that Charlotte's more likely to trade LaMelo Ball? No? What? No? Is it better to add Bagley now or wait to the deadline? I think you add him now. I don't think there's any point waiting on that one. It could go completely tits up, but I don't think you wait on that one. And then there's a lot of like weirdness with Hendricks, with Mann, with Olynyk, with Jemison. What happens with Schroeder? Like, yeah, it's a lot of messy stuff at the moment, I think. It's pretty messy. And it's going to take a while to sift through everything. Yeah, so who the hell is out of here in Phoenix? It would be awesome to know. Like, it'd be really, really great to be able to fix that. Because I can't even adjust their rotation because I don't know who's out of there. But I don't think that Grayson Allen shooting 48% from three is going to become a 24-minute-a-night player because Royce O'Neal is in town. Royce O'Neal gives them a bench player because they haven't been able to rely upon any bench players at all. And I've seen that question multiple times now. There's no Portland news? No, because nothing's happened. Add Cody Martin. Now, look, I don't think Martin's upside is absolutely sky high. Like, it's fine. And they've cleared out, obviously, PJ and Hayward and the Melo's still injured. Martin is every risk to get hurt again or to sit out games because of his knee. To me, he's like a must in 14-team leagues, but not necessarily in 12-team leagues. Oh. Come on, let's get these thumbs up. There's 6,000 of you legends in here. That's great. Not quite 20, but we're getting there. Dennis Smith Jr. is not an ad, no. Why do I think Simone would be prioritizing the starting lineup? A, they gave up assets to get him, and B, yes, spacing. Monty has been pretty clear on the want to have spacing around Ivy and Cade. And I would assume that is exactly why they brought Fontecchio in. Nick Richards' value does go up. So he should be rostered, yes. Keldon or Olynyk, I have no interest in Keldon Johnson whatsoever. Is there any chance Trey Mann can play shooting guard next to LaMelo? Yes, there is a chance of that for sure. If you're talking speculative ads, Trey Mann, Trey Jemison, and Taylor Hendricks and Kelly Olynyk are probably the four that I like the most. The very clear ad to me is Marvin Bagley. And then you run into these other sort of weird situations where don't think Fontecchio is quite there. I don't think there's much that happens with that Raptors-Nets point guard switch. I don't think Grant Williams becomes an ad. Chet's value does not change at all. Is Royce O'Neal an ad? No, I don't think so. 14-team points. Look, if you thought Royce O'Neal was a 14-team league points league guy before, then sure. But no. Booker's listed question mark. He's probably getting traded, honestly. But Buddy is the biggest value boost over Bagley. No, he's not. Because Buddy Hield might not start in Philadelphia. Again, do you think he will start over Maxey or Melton or Batum or Harris? And then there's Oubre there still too. So while I do think it does help Buddy Hield, I don't think that this makes him this great option. I'd be very interested in Jalen Wilson as a deep flyer guy in Brooklyn now. Losing Royce O'Neal is those 20 minutes or so. It does help Cam Johnson, but I think Jalen might be in the rotation each night. Dennis Schroeder's not a 12-team league guy. Oh, here we go. The Suns are sending out Chimezie Metu, Jordan Goodwin, Yuta Watanabe, and Keita Bates-Diop. No idea where they're going. So they sent out those 4 players, 3 second-round picks, and got Royce O'Neal and David Roddy. Okay, wow, that's a lot of trades. A lot of guys out. But where are they going? Are they going to Brooklyn or are they going to Memphis? Or who's going where? But I don't think any of those guys. Like Bates-Diop might be interesting if he goes to Memphis. Watch that one. Goodwin? Ooh, Goodwin in Memphis would be very interesting. Because obviously they're running Jacob Gilead at point guard. Jordan Goodwin in Memphis would be an ad, I think. Bates-Diop in Memphis would be a wait and see. Metu and Watanabe. Who goes to... Yeah, that's really interesting, actually, because we need to see where these guys end up. That's really interesting. Yeah, okay. Don't really know what to make of that just yet. All right, we'll get more updates on that in a second, and I'll put some graphics up when we hear about it. But at least we know who's gone. We just don't know where. Hit the thumbs up when you can. There's no news on the Magic. Nothing's happened yet. I thought the Suns' 2 open roster spots were announced before Roddy O'Neal. No, that was announced after Roddy and O'Neal. But this is how they got it, because they traded out 4 players, and they got 2 back. Neesmith rest of season with Hield gone. Yeah, it helps him. Probably gives him a couple of extra minutes. He's a must-roster player. Is Keegan Murray a drop in 10s? No. If you're in first place, are you dropping Scoot or Nick Richards first? Why am I dropping anybody? Who are you adding? Who would I drop first out of those guys? Richards has the smaller upside, so probably him. Yes. Okay. The Suns. I've talked about the Pistons. You should not pick up Quentin Grimes. Asar maybe, but I won't say there's a clear 30-minute path there. Giddey. I think Josh Giddey's a drop in Oklahoma City. Yes, I think he's a drop. I don't know that Hield's going to be a starter. He would have to start over Melton or Batum, and I'm not sure that he does. He might, but I'm not sure that he does. Jordan Goodwin has a very good fantasy profile. Not a great shooter, but a very good fantasy profile. We've just got to wait and see where he goes. If he's in Brooklyn, useless. If he's in Memphis, interesting. But no one's telling us. Would the Magic be a good DeJounte team? Yeah, he'd be. Yes, he would. Yes. Easton's still a hold. Jake, welcome to the show for the first time. Easton's been a drop about 5 weeks ago. Is Goodwin an ad even with their shenanigans? Good question, Augustine. Augustine? I don't know. They are shenaniganizing, obviously. I think that he probably would be a ad that you would end up dropping. Did Pat Bev just announce his own trade? I don't know. I haven't seen any Pat Bev tweet just yet. I'm just going to go and look for it. Okay. To the Bucks. There you go. Pat Bev has announced that he's gone to the Bucks. Good for him. I'd love to get clarification on this other deal, but Patrick Beverley to the Bucks. That is very interesting with Jaden Springer. Not a 12-team league guy. But, yeah. Very interesting. Some of the questions I'm getting are absolutely like, what? So Patrick Beverley to Milwaukee, we just don't know what for. Just these things that are just sort of hanging around that we don't know about yet. And the Memphis ones are going to be key. Like if Metu goes there, it maybe puts a bit of a handbrake on Trey Jemison and the ability of Jemison to be moved into a full-time deal. But who knows, man? Oh, here we go. Now it's Woj. Cameron Payne to the Sixers. Okay. There you go. Cam Payne to the Sixers. Interesting. That doesn't really do anything, I don't think, for fantasy. Pretty sure there's no real consequence of that. Just sort of trading backup point guard for backup point guard. But what we know is that Doc Rivers will play Patrick Beverley more than he has Cam Payne. And at least Beverley is over the age of 27. So that's important for Doc. Obviously, that's probably the most important thing that you could do. As we know. Like that's, you can only be good once you're old. It's the only way it works. All right, so Beverley to Milwaukee, Cameron Payne to Philadelphia, probably a fantasy irrelevant trade. Still waiting on info on the Bucks, not the Bucks, on the Suns, Grizzlies, Nets trade. But here's this one: Beverley and Cam Payne switching teams. Good for Patrick Beverley breaking his own trade news, by the way. The Payne thing is interesting as for Springer, but I think Springer is actually better than Cameron Payne at this point. So I think it's not a 12-team value player, but he's someone to watch while the players are in transition and guys are out. The Bucks are also sending a second-round pick to the Sixers. Interesting. The Bucks are sending a second-round pick to the Sixers. Okay. All right, so we'll see how that one goes. I'm going to update that little graphic for you guys. It's hard to do by yourself, man, all this stuff. Can't wait to get somebody else in here to talk. Having a full-time producer would be sick. Don't have one of those, though. If you haven't hit a thumbs up and you're here, do it. If you haven't hit subscribe, do it. Add Springer in a 20-teamer? Yeah, absolutely. Are they going to waive Pat Beverley? No chance. They're not trading for Patrick Beverley to waive him. It's sometimes, I don't know, sometimes some of the things that you guys think are going to happen are just like, I don't even know how you get to that conclusion. I don't even know how we get to some of these conclusions, but whatever. We all have different opinions or views on things. This is a pretty strong indication that they think that they'll be able to get Kyle Lowry. Okay. So they're going to get Lowry. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that obviously hurts Springer if that happens. And that'll push Payne out of the rotation. All right, we'll get to your questions in just a sec. Still want clarification on that Nets deal. All we've said is, hey, these guys are going, not to where they're going or anything like that. What if Gambo has actually said anything further on that? Because that was who broke at the Suns guy. He just said, yeah, we're getting rid of these guys. Screw them. They're not coming back. No. So no information on that. Let's see. No more news coming through. All right, let's get to some questions from you you blokes and Sheilas over here. Drummond to Chicago, Golden State. Sure, but oops, what am I doing? Maybe not. Who do I think starts between PJ, Lively, and Gafford? PJ's going to start. And I think Gafford will start. It might be Lively, but I think it'll end up being Gafford. Is Melton suffering from these trades? Well, I bring in Hield. I don't think Payne's an impact on him, so not really. Maybe a little bit. Is Aldama must add? I just don't think Santi's a great fantasy player, as you've heard me say many times. The absence of Roddy helps the floor of him. I just think that he's still going to be very up and down. And now they might bring in like a Bates Diop and he might play as well. So like I think Aldama's okay to have. It has cleared some stuff out. I just don't really have much like excitement there. All right. Nothing else going on here. Oh, man. An hour, 15 minutes to go. That means you've still got time to get 10,000 of your mates in here to watch. Don't you think Gafford will produce more in less minutes with Luka as his point guard? Absolutely not. No, that's just not how that usually works. No. The biggest thing is minutes. It's not about who your point guard is. So, no, I don't. The Nets are waiving Harry Giles. All right, so we got that one. So Giles is gone. Still no idea who is going. Who's Bates, Diop, Goodwin, Metu? Like, where are they going? Where are they going? It would be good to know. No, Grayson Allen is not a drop unless you're talking about being in a points league. Would I drop Amen for Trey Mann? That's interesting. Maybe. Amen doesn't have a long-term big role in it, rest of season big role in Houston, I don't think. That's definitely one that you have to wait 3-4 weeks for it to pay off. And it might not. So I'll say no. Did I get hit by the earthquake? Nah, Matthew, I did not. And I've been up all bloody night, basically, so no. Killian Hayes getting waived. They've still got 2 more guys they need to cut. Troy Weaver is an absolute disaster of a GM. Why are you making these trades and bringing in Troy Browns and Shake Milton and Ryan Archer-Jacquino so you can waive Killian Hayes? Honestly, I'm not telling you Killian Hayes is good, but what is Ryan Archer-Jacquino could have been waived. Maybe he still will be. Wow. Boy Wandermus, is this the first time you've ever watched on YouTube? And so you just see my face for the first time. How is that possible? That's the first time you've ever seen my face. But welcome. Who do I prefer dynasty-wise, Amen or Asar? Amen. Yeah, I prefer Amen. Is Josh Hart still starting? It depends. Short-term or long-term? Short-term, yes. Long-term, no. Do I add people to my own team during the show? No, I don't. Only one of my leagues is a league where it's not fab. And my priority is doing work. And all my other ones are fab leagues, and I'll add those guys later, which again should be what every league is. And in that one league that's not fab, I already have Marvin Bagley because it's a 14-team league. So I already have Bagley in that one. Yes, Charlie, there is a little bit of news on Killian Hayes. Did you just see it? He just got waived. Fournier now has a path to 25 minutes ago. No, absolutely he does not. No, he doesn't have that path at all. Not. What? Again, maybe Jonathan, but like what? Where are you seeing this? Or how are you seeing that happening? There's no way he's getting 25 minutes a night. I don't think anyway. Yeah, I agree, Aaron. Like Kessler maybe gets 2 to 3 more minutes, but I don't think it's like, well, now he's playing 30 a night. I don't think that's going to happen. You know who should add Killian Hayes? Who should pick him up? Who do you think should pick up Killian Hayes? Not to make this the Killian Hayes show. The Spurs should add him. Any chance Van Vliet gets traded? 0. Oh, here we go. I just got Paul Garcia. Not reporting that the Spurs have interest in Killian Hayes, but if they wanted to claim him off waivers in the next 48 hours, San Antonio would have to trade or waiver play. Yeah, they should be in on him. That is who should be adding him. What's Neemias Queta's path to 25 minutes a night? It's coming to the NBL. Does it make Sasser a 14-team league ad? Their team still doesn't make any sense. So, like, maybe he's probably a 16-team league guy, more Sasser, maybe 14. Am I expecting a minutes jump for Ben Simmons? Yes, I am. Hornets should add him. Yeah, I do like that for Killian, actually. As a backup to LaMelo, I like that. So, Joe Harris and Killian Hayes being waived. Wow, that's wild. Trey Jones is better than Killian Hayes. Didn't suggest he wasn't, but the backup point guard in San Antonio is Blake Wesley, who's not good. I've talked about Wilson in Brooklyn already. Giles waived. Giles waived has no impact on Wilson whatsoever. Royce O'Neal being traded does impact it quite a bit, though. Whereas Colabally's value has not changed at all. There is 1 hour and 10 minutes to go until the end of the deadline. Do I like Cody Martin or Trey Mann more in 14-team league? I think both of those guys are ads in 14. I would look at Martin. So Troy Weaver's first draft was Isaiah Stewart, Sadiq Bey, and Killian Hayes. And he traded Bey for James Wiseman, and he waived Hayes. What a clown. What's the probability of Jemison having 12 to 14 team value rest of the season? Well, that's what we need to see, because we need to see what the Grizzlies are getting back in this trade that sent out Roddy. Are they getting back Metu? Are they going to waive guys? Because Jemison's a 10-day contract player, so he needs to actually find a roster spot. And I thought that opening up that was happening, but now there's other guys coming back, so I don't exactly know. Percentage chance, I'll say 20%. Well, interestingly, Matthew Hurt has now been waived by them as well. So he was the first of their 10-day signees, and they haven't renewed his deal, so he's gone. And the other one is Tosin Evbon-1. I think he won't last there either. And then it's just really what is going to happen with the with those other roster spots, because there's just a lot of them, man. What a very weird. This is what happens a lot at the deadline. Things just get more confusing, and situations might arise months down the track or weeks down the track. Grimes is not a must-add player at all. Would I drop Aldama for Bagley? I would, yes. Hayes would work in Memphis. Yeah, that's a good one, actually, Xavier. Their point guard situation is disastrous, and he would average like 8 assists and 2 steals, I reckon, there. Shams coming in off the top rope with another. Oh, because he screwed up the first tweet. He put the date wrong on Killian Hayes. The year wrong. Charlotte starting lineup. Well, it's a good question, isn't it? Ball, I guess. Miller, Martin, Bridges, Richards. With no Ball, it'll be Cody. Miller, Martin. Yeah, so if Ball is out, that's where Trey Mann comes in. So the path to Trey Mann getting minutes is not hard, actually. So yeah. Yeah, so that path to Mann is not tough. Grizzlies supposedly getting what? Yuta, did you say? Guys, don't type in all caps. I'm not going to answer you. Drop Oubre for Cody Martin. I actually would be on board with that, yes. Drop Fultz for Trey Mann. Don't think I would do that. Drop 2. Burks, Dort, Duncan Robinson. Well, you know what, Mike? Sorry, I can't. How can I possibly know? Because I don't know what your league is or your team is or nothing. Drop Kyle. Yeah, got to tell me what the thing is. The biggest winner of the day, Asar, right? No, wrong. Absolutely not Asar. It's Marvin Bagley. That is the biggest winner of the day. By far, with no question whatsoever. It's Marvin Bagley. Does Asar win at all? Maybe not. Marginally? Marginally, maybe. Is DeJounte not going to get traded? Don't know. We've still got an hour and 7 minutes to go. I cannot believe that the Pistons are allowing Troy Weaver to do this. Gordon Hayward's an interesting one. I don't think he gained value, but I think it's just a huge trade in terms of overall value in the league. Do we stash Hayes? I wouldn't bother with doing that. No. Haven't heard any rumors of Brogdon. The only one I'd really heard was the Knicks, and I don't think that's going to happen now. So, yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere, Malcolm Brogdon. What trades do I anticipate? None, really. I'm just trying to adjust when things happen. So first of all, Dan Gurr 81. He's dropped Richards for Bagley with my 4th center spot. So obviously you're in a terrible league, and you need to change that for next season. Would you drop Richards for Bagley? I think I probably would, although Richards' value has gone up as well. You're dropping Keontae for Cody. Guys, context, please. Am I missing something there? Drop Dennis Smith for Mann in a 12-team points league. There must be somebody better than that on the wire. Must be. What's up, Josh? Hello. Did the Celtics make a trade? Good to see your face. Man, so many people that have never seen my face. How sexy is it? It's pretty bad. But no, the Celtics, the only trade they made is the Xavier Tillman one yesterday. Can I list all the players I dropped for Bagley? Absolutely not. There's no way I'm doing that. You're going to list 400 players? No way. Come on, guys. Can I run down the trades today? I'll end up doing that at the end. We'll go through that at the end of the show. Is Bagley an ad even in a 10-team cat? I think so, yes. You just got to be aware that he's probably going to hurt your free throw percentage. Still nothing more coming in now. Still no full updates on those Grizzlies trades. Nothing official there yet. Look, the Pistons are making all these moves. What is it doing for them? Honestly, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So this guy's claiming that I can see this guy's claiming that Utah, Watanabe, and Shemezi Metu headed to Memphis. So honestly, Metu and Watanabe have an impact on Aldama and Jemison. They play the same positions. Oh, my back needs stretching out. Please tell me what, like the people who drop like fake trades and fake announcements into a chat, what do you get out of it? Do you get hard? Is this how small your life is? Trick somebody on the internet today, guys. Tricked them. Get a life, mate. Jameson, I can do it, but I won't. And here's why I won't, right? Can I rank ads? The reason that I won't do it, well, not that I won't do it, is that it's not how fantasy works, right? Things could be very specific to your individual team. So if I put out a list, this is the guy that you must add under all circumstances, do it right now, and this is the order that you grab them, it will screw you up because you will make moves that don't make sense on your team or for your league format or whatever. I think Marvin Bagley is the clear winner here. He's the guy I'd look to prioritize. But after that, it's probably 7 guys I could chuck in there. Maybe it's a Linux. If you're top of the standings, maybe it's Mann, maybe it's Hendricks. Like there's just so many weird little, maybe it's Jemison you take a flyer on. So many weird little things that can change and adjust. And also, I'm trying to do this and react live while I'm talking to you guys without having gone in and sat down and done the projections. I'm not a fantasy analyst that talks out of my ass and tries to give you stuff with no data and no numbers. So while we do this, we try and react in the moment. After this, I sit down for the next 2 hours and push out all of the projections and update everything and try and fine-tune as much as I can. And then we look to see how it works. And then, Basketball Monster members will go in and see how that impacts their individual league. But if you're just running off an individual list put out by some people who, honestly, there's some articles that get chucked out there for fantasy that are dreadful, you'll get misled and into a bad spot. So, thanks for your question. Prophetic day. So you're one of those guys with a small penis. Congratulations to you. All right. So Memphis is getting Watanabe. And Shams, that doesn't even help my guy. Memphis is getting Yuta Watanabe. And the Suns are also sending out Bates, Diop, Goodwin, and Metu. Okay, but where are they going? Are they all going to Brooklyn? Are they going to Memphis? Shams, that's confusing. What does that mean? Yeah, they're sending them out. Where? Where are they sending them? Are they all going to Memphis? What are you on about? Oh, far out. Kennard is not must roster. Paul Reed is must roster. What am I? Yes. Someone asked if I'd want them to stretch my back out. Yeah, absolutely. Always open for that. Shubs, that doesn't help, mate. Yeah, maybe they're going to the Nets, Brandon, but maybe they're not also. Like, the Nets can't accommodate that many players at all. They're already over the roster limit. I know they waived Giles, but I don't know. Are they all going? I guess they are. Who knows? Kennard or Cody Martin? I don't trust Kennard at all. So I'd go with Cody Martin. Nothing there. Is Gigi Jackson an add in 12-team leagues? I think it's going to be very up and down, where Gigi will have moments of being a 12-team league guy, but in the end, he's going to be an more inconsistent, tall Jordan Clarkson is my guess. Giles is still in the league? Not anymore. Is Gary Trent losing his spot over Dinwiddie? No. No, I don't think so. Dinwiddie is actively bad. Trent's also not very good, but they also don't play the same position. Do these trades increase Duran's usage? I don't think so. Maybe, but like so marginal that doesn't really matter. Are we holding Drummond for 12-team leagues? Well, if you've held him for the deadline, you've got an hour to go. So yeah, you probably just want to wait to see what happens. I think Gary Trent will start over Dinwiddie, but I'm also not convinced the Raptors have finished making moves. Again, I just think Dinwiddie's bad, and I don't think you want him out there with quickly. I don't think that makes a lot of sense to me. Is Hart a drop for Ivy? Yeah, I would drop Hart for Ivy, yes. Sal Claxton? Sure, if someone gives you a good player. Like, that's very hard to answer that question. 12-10, would you drop Neesmith or Zubats for Bagley? Also, I love you. I love you too, GW. I would consider Zubats, yeah. But I think that could be 50-50. Is Sasa worth monitoring with Hayes and Burks gone? Like, yes. He does have pretty impressive efficiency. He's still going to be a backup guard who doesn't do enough in the other counting stats. And they brought in Quentin Grimes too. And there's Fontecchio, and I don't know what they do with Fournier. So I don't think there's enough there for that to matter in most leagues. But we'll see. Also remember that like 2 games ago, Hayes was a DNP, and Sasa wasn't 12-10 worthy there. By not being able to sell high on Brandon Miller, should I just be grateful for what I've got? Yes, absolutely. Do Memphis' moves give any clarity on Pippen's spot? No, they don't. There's been no moves on any of their guards whatsoever. So, no, nothing changes there at all. Oh, Cocoon Man. Is Masai Bobby Webster on my shit list for GMs? When were they off it? Prime Angelina Jolie or Jessica Alba? You know what? I'm not like a celebrity crush sort of person, and neither of those two are my type, so I don't care. Tim Jr. Is that Tim Hardaway? Does his value take a hit? His value takes a hit because Kyrie and Luka are playing together. PJ probably hurts him a little bit, so let's say yes. Do I drink coffee? What brand? That's got to be an American asking that. I don't drink branded coffee. What are we talking about here? I grind my own beans from a boutique local coffee roaster. Brand. Come on, guys. Yeah, Beal has an ankle sprain. He's questionable for today. So is Booker, actually. Maybe they're both getting traded. Holmes, minutes per game estimate. 20. My worst player is Denny Avdia. Is it worth dropping him to pick up Bagley? I would do that, yes. Goodwin, absolutely not. No chance we're adding Goodwin. It doesn't even look like he's going to Memphis. Looks like he's going to Brooklyn. So absolutely no chance we're adding him. We need to figure out Cody Martin. We figured it out. You can add him. It's fine. Add him. Do Luka's rebounds go down? Like maybe. But not enough to matter, I don't think. What about Liz Hurley? No, not interested in her either. I'm not a celebrity crush sort of a person. Yeah, look, I'm not convinced that Santi Aldama is a must-roster player, nor GG Jackson. I think, again, we're in that situation that happens a lot at the deadline where there's some interesting flyers. Olenek, Hendricks, Mann are probably those interesting flyer types. Cody Martin, put him in that mix. There's the must-add in Bagley. And then there's just a bunch of like I think Aldama's GG's it ends up probably being more drops than there is ads. Like, I would hold Gafford. I probably would try to hold Lively, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to add Grant Williams. He's a bad per-minute player. I'd love to get some more deals coming through. That would be nice. We'll flip this screen back up just to show you the last trade that went down, which was the PJ Washington, Grant Williams. Well, that's not the last deal that went down, but it is a deal that went down, so I'll just throw that up. That's apparently what I've got up there ready to show you guys. I don't know what's on this screen. This is another one that went down. There's updating graphics on the fly. Campaign, Patrick Beverly. And then we go back to this. What are my thoughts on Asar Thompson's role? I think it's probably not as high as some people think it's going to be. I think he should get 26 a night minimum. I don't think it's a guarantee that he starts. In fact, I think it's going to be Fontecchio, although short-term, I think Asar will continue to start and have really good short-term value at least, and then he'll probably get moved to the bench when Isaiah Stewart returns, which would be ridiculous, but it is what will happen almost definitely. So I think his role is okay. But yeah. What coffee roaster? 7 Seeds, it's called. Had to think about that for a second. Would I drop Kennard for Hendricks? I would. I have no faith in Kennard at all with their rotation, so I'd be more than happy to do that. Does Kyle Lowry got a gout? Of course he does. You've seen that thing. Get my face in there. Have you hit a thumbs up? Have you got 20,000 of your mates to come across and watch the show? Because that's a great thing to do. I'll tell you though, we're almost at 20,000 total views on the show. So we don't have 20,000 in it once, but we do have almost 20,000 people who have watched. So we're almost there. We're getting there. Should you add Sensibor in 10-teamers? Absolutely not. No chance. Like, he's played for 12 minutes all season. Absolutely no way we're doing that. Someone actually knows 7 Seeds roasters. Gil, do you know it, do you? I don't think Rashawn Holmes is an ad outside of a deep league. Johnny Lynn asked about Trey Jemison. It is interesting. They need to convert into a full-time contract, but I think he might be. Yeah, I'm not convinced on it because that rotation's still wildly up in the air, but I think he might be. What are my thoughts on Cam Small Johnson? Good name. Middle to low on ranks. I'm just looking at this. The pick in the Daniel Gafford trade that's incoming to Washington is the more favorable of the Clippers and Thunder's first-round pick. Okay. How did they get that? How did they get that? There must be part of the... How the hell did that pick move? Did the Thunder send that to the Hornets, who sent it to the Mavericks, who sent it to the Wizards? How the hell did that happen? Anyway, we'll find all this out later on. Cam Johnson, I think with O'Neal gone, he's probably a 10-teamer. Yeah, I do think that. Does Fontecchio slide into the Bojan role? Yes, I believe so. Yeah, I think the PJ Washington trade slightly increases his value. Yes, he's going to start over Grant Williams because Grant Williams isn't there anymore. Grant Williams is in Dallas, but he'll start over Kleber, I'm almost certain. Usage probably goes down a bit, but I think minutes become more consistent. But he just should be rostered. Okay, Kevin, explain how Thompson's stock is to the moon, because I could not disagree more on that. Could not disagree more. Detroit has waived Daniel House Jr., so there's another one of those. What is this? Oh, seriously. I know you know that I'm a big, Troy Weaver fan. But, can we just stop letting this guy in the kitchen? What is he doing? Have you ever seen a bigger disaster class than Troy Weaver? So, does that mean Fournier is going to play? Shout out to the guy that said that Fournier is going to get 25 minutes a night. So their guard rotation is going to be, I'm guessing, Grimes, Sasser, Cunningham, Ivy. Their forwards are going to be Fontecchio, Thompson, Stewart, Muscala. Well, not Muscala, Gallinari, sorry. Weird team. Weird team. All right, let's just wait and see if there's any more go. Oh my God, I completely forgot I'm supposed to have someone coming in. Jesus Christ. Sorry, Dan Titus. I will bring you in right now. Let me go and open up that window, man. All right, sorry guys, just hold on for 1 second while I try and get this going. Dan, I am sorry, you are live on air, and I have completely just missed the time as I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Dan Titus is in the building. Welcome, Dan.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. All right, now you can let's get some questions in here. All right, so what have you made of the deadline so far? I want to see if your big winner aligns with mine so far.
Obviously there's a lot more things that could happen here, but I think the early winner for me is probably disgustingly Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, I think so.
He's just somebody that's just going to have 30 minutes coming his way. He can play power forward and center. We know how thin that Washington front court is, so I actually feel good about stashing him in an IL spot. I've already done that in a couple spots. I think Aaron Nesmith is also a winner here. I think he's obviously going to get more minutes now that Buddy Hield is gone. Him and Ben Mathurin should share those, small forward minutes as well as shooting guard for Ben Mathurin. So I think just less competition means more opportunity for those two guys. Let's see what else. There's been so many mid-tier deals that went down. Like,
What do you make about
Hendrick?
What do you make about Dallas and Gafford, Lively, Washington?
So I think it's a good thing I think it's fine for Gafford. Like, I think his value is always around 20 plus minutes. He can always produce in that amount of time. I think Lively probably gets impacted some, but I think that these guys can coexist in that Dallas front court because they're both decent rebounders and productive rim protectors and both lob threat. So I think that both works well with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. PJ Washington getting over there is interesting. I think Dallas made the best real life trades this deadline.
Yeah, it improved them without really giving up a huge amount. I think. Do you think Gafford will start over Lively?
Initially, just because his nose is broken. Long term, I'm not so sure. I feel like it's a wait and see, but I think I wouldn't drop Gafford or Lively as a result of the trade. I would wait and see how this kind of shakes out. But I think they're both going to get probably around 20-ish minutes.
I think Gafford's a better permanent producer than what Lively is. I do think that it is going to be a bit of a minute split. I think that Gafford probably will start over Lively this season, but I'm not, like, long-term, no way.
Yeah.
But it is hard to know exactly again because Lively's going to be out, so Gafford's going to have a chance to step right in. But it does just get pretty complicated. I can see a scenario where both Gafford and Lively become drops because Washington plays a bit and Kleber plays at center a little bit as well, and they've still got Powell there, so it becomes a situation where it just becomes too annoying to deal with, I think.
There's definitely a possibility of that. I will say that I think it's better for Gafford that he's getting off Washington in terms of there was some tank potential there. Like, I wouldn't see them playing him end of the season if it didn't matter. So now that he's actually playing for a team that actually has a contending chance, maybe we'll see a more revived version of him if he can fend off Derek Lively.
I interrupted you before. You were going to say something about Hendricks.
Yeah, I think the Utah Jazz actually, I feel like, made the most intriguing moves just because I think they've offered up enough opportunity for younger players to actually get a role. So trading out Fontecchio and Agbaji and Olynyk, I think, opens the door for Taylor Hendricks a bit. He's been playing well in the G League. They've wanted to get their younger guys more minutes, so I think he's probably an early winner here. I just don't know what it's going to look like with his minutes distribution, but he's definitely on my watch list. And I think Fontecchio has a chance to be in the rotation right now for Detroit because they just got rid of all of their wing depth, all of it.
Yeah, I think he's going to start. I'm pretty sure he'll start there. And a lot of people who seem to think this is just huge for Asar Thompson, I'm not so sure that it is. Because again, I think when Stewart comes back, that Fontecchio and Stewart will start, and Asar will start now, and there's really good short-term value in it, and he probably does get more security in his minutes, but I'm not convinced that this is like 32 minutes a night for Asar as we move forward. So for now, sure. You mentioned Hendricks and his G League numbers. I'm just going to bring them up. He's averaging 15 points in 30 minutes with 2.2 triples on 36%, which is, you talk about spacing, like that's really key, and that's obviously what Kessler can't do. 6 rebounds, 0.9 steals, 1.4 blocks. That's 30 fantasy points in 30 minutes. I think they would need to get him minutes. I think he will get them, but I think it's going to really start to push up towards the middle of March. But he's an interesting guy. Like, he's not as interesting in terms of the short-term appeal the way that Bagley does, but he's one of those sort of next tier down to me. Like, let's put it this way. Would you rather have a crack at getting a Hendricks or like a Fontecchio, for example?
I would go Fontecchio just because I think the immediate impact is there. When you get rid of Kevin Knox, I mean, they literally got rid of Alec Burks. And it sounded like on the trade deadline, I like reading the tea leaves of other organizations wanting to go get a guy, and for Detroit to do that for what they paid, I think that there's a lot of upside here for their pick. And what have they been talking about all year? We need floor spacers around Cade Cunningham, and that's exactly what you get. So, and I think it's even better that they cut Killian Hayes, so now we can finally see more of Jaden Ivey, more Marcus Sasser, and kind of what Fontecchio can do as a floor spacer. So I'm excited for it. They need to get rid of Bojan Bogdanovic, and that was the move that was me like, all right, that they believe in Fontecchio, they're going to play him.
They're going to play him. I've got no question about that. He's going to get minutes. I just don't know if he's that good. Like in the last 30 games, he's averaging 26 minutes, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 0.8 steals with 2 threes, with 0.9 free throw attempts. So, like, maybe he plays 2 to 3 extra minutes. That's possible. But to me, that's not like I don't think he's going to come out and average. He's not going to add 20 average 20 like Bojan does. He's more of a, like, you sit in the corner and be interesting as a wing defender who takes spot up threes, not like a guy that you run offense through. So it obviously helps Cade and Ivy a lot, but I'm not sure that Simone will have more moments now of being like, hey, let's stream him in for today. Let's see what's going on here. But I don't think that it's a very clear, this guy is going to be awesome in this role. But yeah, that could change on this team, but I'm not sure.
What do you think about Grimes coming in there? Obviously, he's hurt right now, but how does he factor in there too?
Like, I really like Grimes. The problem there is that he's not playing ahead of Ivy and Cade. So if we talk about, does this open stuff up for Asar, or does it open stuff up for Marcus Sasser? Well, not really, because Grimes just sort of slides in there. So Grimes takes all the Alec Burks minutes, would be my guess. So there's 23 to 24 minutes that Alec Burks was getting. Grimes gets out. I really like Grimes. I probably want him to get 30 though, before I'd consider him a 12-team league player.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I don't know that I'm stashing him yet. Like, I'd probably wait and see on that.
Yeah. Remeth says, like, isn't Fontecchio going to do the Bogdanovic role, but less? Yes, but that's the thing, like, less. Bogdanovic hasn't been awesome this season, but Fontecchio is going to be nowhere near that, I don't think, in terms of usage. So, yes, but that doesn't mean that we need to have him. What about in Charlotte? Hayward gone, Washington gone, Trey Mann in. I'm pretty interested in Trey Mann, honestly. What about Cody Martin as well? Like, they're probably the two interesting names in Charlotte.
Yeah, I think Cody Martin is the immediate add right now, just because that front court is like dwindled so much with Hayward gone too. And Cody Martin, I think, actually has a pretty versatile skill set because he can guard multiple positions. He can shoot. He gets you some stocks. He can pass. He's an active playmaker. So I think he actually gives you a little bit more versus Trey Mann, who I'm intrigued by because he's always seen like a 20% usage rate, no matter how many minutes he's playing. If you give him starters minutes, he's going to be a bucket. I just don't know that he's just going to, leapfrog in there to 30, 25 to 30 minutes. But I think, the Hornets getting him is a good move, because I think he's already, I'm curious to see what that does for Nick Smith Jr.'s role, but I feel like Trey Mann's going to probably get an opportunity to see what he can do, especially Charlotte.
Like, if LaMelo's out, I think Trey's going to start, honestly. Like, I think he's going to have a chance to start. Like, he's an interesting stash to me. Like, they're not as highly invested in him as what Utah is in Taylor Hendricks. I'd probably rather Hendricks there. But the path to both of those guys getting opportunity is pretty clear. And yeah, I think Cody Martin is pushing up towards the, like, let's add him in 12-team zone behind Bagley, but I think he's sort of pushed into that area. How would you like view him versus like Cody Martin versus Asar Thompson, for example?
I think Cody Martin's probably going to get more minutes for. See, the question is Isaiah Stewart. If he comes back, I think that's going to stifle any kind of production for Asar Thompson, no matter how much we want to see him thrive. Like, that's just going to be the case. Whereas Cody Martin, I don't see the log jam in front of him. In fact, like, I think that he has 30 minutes just waiting for him to take advantage of. So I would probably lean Cody Martin, to be honest. And he's more widely available than Asar Thompson. So, yeah, that's an interesting call.
Yeah, it is tough. I do think that the chances of Martin being better are higher, but is obviously not as exciting as getting an Asar Thompson. But it's still, I don't think this is as clear-cut a path for Thompson to put up, big numbers. We'll see, because they could have done this literally all season to play Asar, but they have not because they're idiots. All right, what have we got going on here? Let's see if there's any more news coming through. Oh, yeah, what do you make of it? People want to know what we think about Walker Kessler in Utah. Obviously, the absence of Olynyk makes people think that there'll be more Kessler. I'm not so certain it's going to be this huge bump because, again, the reason that Kessler wasn't playing wasn't because Olynyk was there. It was because they didn't like the lack of spacing with Kessler and Collins together, and that obviously hasn't changed. They have a huge opening at small forward, so Markkanen's probably going to have to play there. So there's probably a few extra minutes, but this is sort of what we're talking about with Hendricks. Like, where does he fit in there? So I think that probably helps Kessler a little bit, bumps him from a guy that was at risk of playing 18 minutes to maybe he's 24 now, but I don't think this means 30 minutes for Walker.
Yeah, I've never been big on Walker Kessler this year, and I don't think that is just because Olynyk's gone. I think you said it best. Like, it's going to be a few more minutes to his production, which is a good thing. Maybe he can get up to 11 points and 9 rebounds, and the blocks will always be there. But without him being a starter, I'm just not that intrigued. Like, I would trade him after a good blocking game, just because I think he holds more name notoriety than fantasy production in a bench role for me. But if you need him for blocks, I get it. He's good. But outside of that, I think there's better options out there.
Is Grimes a good dynasty guy to have? Look, again, I don't love the spot here. Like, I would like to see them. What I would love to see them do is try and experiment with Cade playing at the 3, still being the lead ball handler, but play at the 3. But they just have shown no interest in doing that, and he can play next to Ivy and Grimes. But at the moment, I think Grimes is still going to be stuck behind 2 top 5 picks in the backcourt, playing limited minutes, which is a bit of a ceiling on that team. But who knows?
Yeah, dynasty. I mean, I'll take him at this point. He at least is a 3-and-D guy, so he fits the bill for a floor spacer. He didn't really get a fair shake in New York. I feel like I just don't think that was the right fit for him. So I think that this could be greener pastures. But then again, we're talking about Monty Williams here, so I don't know that anything is guaranteed. But hold him, sure. I'd be down to hold him just for his age and the new change of scenery for Grimes.
Christian Lopez asks, are Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo drops with now these moves? We're definitely not dropping Dante DiVincenzo. Like 100% you're not dropping Dante DiVincenzo. Burks arrives. Bojan Bogdanovic arrives. I think part of this is that OG Anunoby's injuries might be a little bit worse than we might initially think. So I think I'd be all right dropping Josh Hart if I needed to, but I'm definitely not dropping DiVincenzo.
No, I think Dante is here to stay. Josh Hart, I'd probably hold on to for a game or two just to kind of see how this rotation shakes out. Like, I don't think Burks is the threat. It's really Bojan. So Bojan's going to play, and he's going to play 30 minutes. So I feel like Josh Hart could still give you some rebounds and assists, but I don't know that it's going to be worth holding on to beyond, the All-Star break. So play it in the short term and then see how things kind of adjust, and then you might have to drop him later.
Man, sometimes the questions coming in. This guy's asking if he should drop Emmanuel quickly in a 14-team league. Like, no,
stop it.
No, come on, seriously, absolutely not.
For Spencer Dinwiddie,
what are we doing here? Fuck, no, absolutely not. What do you make of Gordon Hayward going to OKC? Is this like not? Maybe you didn't need it, but is this like the end of holding on to Josh Giddey? I feel like I'm not going to bother holding on to him now if Hayward's there. Like, it's just a much better player coming off the bench who they show no real issue with benching Giddey as we speak. So I don't think this is any good for him. So I'd be okay with moving on from him, I think.
I have Giddey in a spot, and I'm going to hold to see how they utilize Hayward, but I feel like he's going to be a better piece because he's more gifted offensively. He doesn't really need the ball in his hands to be effective, whereas I feel like that's Josh Giddey's. That's usually where he thrives, is when he has the ball in his hands. So I would hope that this was a signal for a potential trade, but I don't know that we're going to get that in the next 30 minutes here. So
I would say we definitely don't, to be honest.
But yeah, I feel like this is a good real life basketball move for the Thunder. Like, I think that's a very good heady veteran that you want to get on your team for playoffs, and kind of see how this works out with Josh Giddey. But I feel like he's probably going to be the loser out of this, just based off of his skill set and kind of what he brings, that redundancy to that Thunder team in the starting lineup.
Tony Jones is saying that Jordan Clarkson is not moving, so he's going to stay with the Jazz. We've already heard that Miles Bridges is not moving from the Hornets as well. A lot of people are asking me this question, kicking myself at ask it here. He says, what about Keontae George's value? I don't really think there's much change to outside of natural rookie progression. Like, no one in that backcourt has moved. His minutes are pushing up at the moment, but like nothing has really changed in that regard. Like, losing Fontecchio and Olynyk and Abaji doesn't really impact him. Like, all those guys are playing the 3, 4, or 5, not the 1 or the 2, and I don't think they'll run much Sexton, Clarkson, George together, or Sexton Dunn. Like, I don't think that'll be a huge thing. He's on the way up anyway, but I'm not sure that this trade deadline has done a huge amount to change things.
No, without trading Colin Sexton or Jordan Clarkson, I think that kind of that's going to hold him back. Unless there's an injury, I probably wouldn't be adding Keontae George in 12-team leagues. Definitely not 10 right now. It's more of a watch list guy for the potential of some late season surge. But unless someone's traded, I don't think he's going to crack the lineup enough to be fantasy relevant right now.
Yeah, we just have to monitor and see where that role goes. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to ask this question because it gives me a chance to say something that I wouldn't normally say. And Iverson says, is there any chance that Holmes starts over Bagley? And again, be really ready to record this. I actually think Marvin Bagley is better than Richaun Holmes, and I think Marvin Bagley might be a better starting center in 2024 than Richaun Holmes is, and that's amazing for me to say because Bagley's dreadful, but Holmes has lost it, man. Like, he's not good anymore, and I would say there is zero chance that Richaun Holmes starts. Well, I won't say zero. It's less than 10% chance that Holmes. I think he's actually bad.
So Bagley's on IL. How long is Bagley out for?
I think it's only a day-to-day thing. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Because I know he got eligibility for missing 3 games. The funny thing is that like Richaun Holmes has been garbage for 2 franchises now, and then you go to the Wizards. So if he wasn't thriving in those situations, does it make sense for him to thrive now? I feel like he'll still get some minutes just because Bagley has to play the power forward spot too because they're so thin. I think that there's an outside chance that Richaun Holmes, if Bagley misses a game, he could play some stream appeal for DFS, but like nothing more than that. Like, he did have a double-double with a couple blocks in 30 minutes the other night, but I don't know that you can rely on that going forward confidently. So I would ride with Bagley, and then as a contingency, if Bagley's out, cool, you can start stream Holmes for that short period of time.
I don't think Bagley plays any power forward at all, to be honest, because they haven't lost any power forwards because they've just been playing Kuzma and Denny at power forward. So I don't think Bagley will play. Well, Bagley hasn't played a single second at power forward since he's been in Washington, and I don't think he will at all. So yeah, Holmes maybe, like, if Bagley is out with this low back contusion, but otherwise not interested in it, honestly. Someone asked me the question, then I can't find it now. What do you think about? Well, I've just forgotten the question. Anyway, we'll find another one. That's fine. We'll get back to whatever that was. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, well, he has it.
There's a lot going on here. Is there any more news coming through? Not that I can see. Holmes and Bagley were both starters at the Kings. They were, and the Kings were bad as a result. Do we expect any more trades? Yeah, we do expect more trades to come through. Is Tillman an ad in a... No, absolutely not. For bloody hell. No, we're not adding him in a 12-team league. Thoughts on... Oh, here's an interesting one. What are the thoughts on Corey Kispert, whose last couple of games have been really good? He's pushing up. I'm not convinced that Corey Kispert is an ad. He's pretty empty points and threes guy. But the role is obviously... It's improved the last 2 games or so.
Yeah, I feel like he's just been... I mean, Jordan Poole's been horrendous.
Oh my God.
So I feel like he's just been stepping up as another scoring option, but like he's not someone that I'm actively adding because I think that it's more so, scoring in threes as you suggested, not much else.
Leighton says, why is nobody talking about Bilal potentially getting more value from the Gafford trade? Because he doesn't get any more value from the Gafford trade. I don't see how that impacts him in the slightest. Like Gafford is gone and Bilal is not playing center, so I don't see how it impacts him whatsoever. Do you see it differently?
No. I mean, unless this is just points more towards the tank because they got rid of Gafford, but I think that Bilal is going to be pretty safe at that small forward spot going forward here. But I don't know that I mean, if Kuzma's out, I'd feel better about starting Bilal or streaming him. But like I feel like his usage is so low, and the production isn't really there consistently enough for me to take a stab on him just yet. But someone I'll be watching towards the end of the season.
Dan, I was late in bringing you on, but unfortunately, I've got another guest coming and I am locking into the time. So thank you for giving me more of your time than I actually took you up on because I'm an idiot and I couldn't see the time coming. Go tell people, what do you got cooking over at Yahoo for the trade deadline?
So I have a trade deadline tracker coming out. I think it should already be out now. It's always fun reacting to this thing and typing at the same time. But and then I'll be hopping on with the FBI International right after the deadline. So check out that show with Kingy and all of his friends in the fantasy community. It's gonna be fun.
Thanks, man. Good to have you on, and good luck with the rest of the day.
You too, brother.
All right, now thank you to Dan for coming on. Now let's see if my next guest is available. I sure hope so, as we try and self-produce this stuff and hope that we're ready to go. If not, you're just gonna have me back here. Just double checking. Not here yet, but no, we are. I'm just making the adjustments because here she is. She's back for her second appearance on the show. Kayla Fonte is here. Welcome, Kayla.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It is good to have you here again. How have you found the trade deadline so far? What's your number one takeaway?
So many takeaways so far. One thing for me, Asar Thompson.
Interesting.
I'm really hoping he gets that starting role. I was really high on him to begin the season, and he's been great in that role. And it kind of got taken away when Bogdanovic came back. So now that he's gone, they brought in Fontecchio, but we'll have to see how everything kind of works out. And hopefully Monty comes to his senses, gives him that starting role.
Yeah, I'm less convinced that that's going to happen. I think the Fontecchio will just slide into Bojan's spot, but I do think that Asar is going to start while Isaiah Stewart is out. I'm less bullish on Asar's long-term 30-minute upside. I just think that they've been so key on prioritizing shooting and spacing that Asar is not going to produce that. But we'll see. I would hope that they would do it. I'm just going to say that my confidence in that franchise doing that is relatively low at this point. Let's get some questions up from people here, and we can answer these while we're on. We've got the last 30 minutes. We're getting down to the end. We'll see if something comes up in terms of any trades that come down. I'm just going to find out what we've got here. They do need spacing. You are correct. I spell your Twitter handle wrong, someone said. I did. What's that E there? I'm an idiot. Let me go and adjust that because I hate mistakes. I'm sorry, Kayla. That's me trying to rush and do that. Let me get a question up. Thank you for someone informing me of that. What do you do? Okay, so what do we do with Bojan Bogdanovic? Do you think that he is a hold?
Yeah, I would say he's a hold for now. I kind of want to see how the lineup kind of shakes out. Plus, we still have key injuries with Randall. I believe OG is still out, so I kind of want to hold for now and just see what happens.
I agree with you. I think that we're in that situation where, in the end, when we get down to at the end of the season, that Bojan is going to be in a spot where he does become a droppable player because, if OG is back and Randall's back, he's going to be coming off the bench with a smaller role. But that's not how things are at the moment. We're not really close to that being the case. So for now, he's a hold. I think when we look at it long term, it's probably going to end up being much worse. Did that update correctly? Yes, it did. Well done.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
All right, so we got that fixed. Thank you to that person who informed me of that. So I think for now, he's fine. I think it's going to drop off later on. All right, I haven't talked much about Buddy Hield for a while. What do you think about Buddy Hield going to Philadelphia? Do you think that he starts in Philadelphia when they get healthy?
Yeah, I think that he does. I think he has more opportunities with this team. And the same goes for the Pacers. I think Mathurin really benefits from Hield's absence now, so that's a big thing. But it's really hard to say right off the bat, but I think it really helps with having Embiid out. There's a lot more opportunities, even for Paul Reed. We've talked about that before. But I want to hold on to Hield right now, and I think he's already rostered like 80% anyway, so I wouldn't drop.
I'm not sure whether he starts. I think it'll be interesting to see what they do. Well, obviously, there's outside of Embiid, there's 2 starters out, right? So Melton and Batum are both out at the moment. So I'm pretty sure that he can come in and start immediately because they've been starting Daniel House there. So I think he's got a chance to do that. When Melton and Batum are ready to go, like, what do they do with Melton, Batum, Oubre, Hield? So 2 of those guys are going to have to come off the bench, and I'm not really sure who they're going to be. I could see them putting Hield in next to Melton or Hield in next to Batum, but they all sort of play 25, 27 minutes a night. I think Melton feels the safest if we knew that he was healthy. So I'm a little iffy on how it all works. I don't think that it's a guaranteed role, but what I do think, and I think what you're right, is that the floor for Buddy is much higher, because in Indiana he might play 27, then he played 13 minutes. I don't think that's going to happen in Philadelphia. I think he's got a relatively safe floor, and in the short term, it's pushed up because Batum and Melton are still out.
Yeah, that's just the biggest question mark right now, when we kind of have to see what happens when they bring back Melton.
Yeah, and we still don't really know when that's going to happen. Like, it's been an annoying injury, and they're a terrible team in terms of updating injuries. We have got 22 minutes to go to this trade deadline, and we are not hearing any more news. Like, there's just nothing else coming through.
It's funny because I was working for most of the day, 10 to 2, and there was trades coming out like crazy. I'm trying to get out those things, and then now that I'm free, it's quiet.
It's happened to me. Like, it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, man, everything's going on, so I better get up. So had to get up at 2 a.m., started the stream, all these trades, and then like there's been like about 2 since I've gone live, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
We might get something come through, but like, who knows? And a lot of the ones, again, that people expect, that don't happen. Like, even I expected DeJounte Murray and D'Angelo Russell to be traded. They're not. People were expecting Andre Drummond to be dealt. He hasn't. There's just so much. There's just so much that hasn't happened, and that is the general rule of trade deadline. Can you explain why, this guy asks, good name, asks, explain why there's so many moves at the end of the deadline? Well, there's a common phrase that gets used, is that the deadlines spur action, is that you can sit on these trades for months and months and months, and you go, well, maybe, what if I get something better? And I in my house, I tend to call this the 99% rule, like, because my partner will so often be like, well, what if I do this? What if I change this? I go, look, what's the point of moving something 99? If you're 99% happy with it, what's the point of moving it to 99.5, right? Like, are you expending too much energy making that decision? But NBA GMs don't think like that. Like, well, what if I can get an extra second if I wait an extra week, and then we'll see what happens with the play. And they wait. And then you get to the end, you go, well, might just have to take what I've got here because my time is running out. So that's just how everything works. Anything you do, schoolwork, work, office stuff, whatever. As soon as you get close to your deadline, you go, I've got another day. I'll put it off. I've got another day. And that's exactly how these GMs, which I assume most of them are human, will operate. So yeah, that's why that happens that way.
It makes it exciting, but frustrating too sometimes. Just waiting.
Absolutely. No says it's psychological. Yeah, it's 100% psychological. It is definitely what it is. That's what I said. What's it called? The deadlines spur action. What is the Heat info? If I could tell you what the info was I had about the Heat, I would tell you. I'm not in the spot to tell you about it at this point, guys. That's not. I would if I could. What do you make of Trey Mann in Charlotte? Obviously, they've moved on from Gordon Hayward. PJ Washington's gone. I'm pretty interested in Trey Mann, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't think he's an ad right now. For me, it's more of a monitoring situation. I have a feeling that we could see another move with the Hornets. I don't know. It's just a feeling for me. It could be completely wrong, but I kind of want to see how everything kind of shakes up with that lineup.
I don't think they're going to make another move, but they're also a weird team that's in flux. And the big thing is what the hell happens with LaMelo. Like, if he doesn't play, then I'm pretty interested in Trey Mann.
For sure, yeah.
But like who knows? Like, that's the big unknown, is we don't know about it. We don't know about Mark Williams. What do you think about, like, who would you say has been your biggest winner from the deadline?
I kind of want to say to a degree Asar Thompson, but more so I want to say Bagley. I've been really interested by his fantasy game ever since he went to the Wizards, which a lot of people were too. There was a lot of hype there. I think now he's solidified that starting role. I don't think Holmes will start over him. I know he's out right now, kind of a day-to-day thing, but I would say him.
I think that is the consensus take. That was Dan Titus's take on Before You. That has been my thought all the way through. He, to me, is the very clear ad here. Yeah, I know he is out injured. I am very much like you, very confident that he will start over Rashawn Holmes, and he's the ad. But that, to me, is the clear one there. What do you make of the switch of point guards, Toronto to Brooklyn? We've got Dennis Schroeder moving to Brooklyn. We've got Spencer Dinwiddie going to Toronto. Do you think that... I don't think there's any point in holding Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't think that he is going to start.
Agreed.
I don't think he's going to cut into Emmanuel quickly. I don't think he's any good. And Schroeder's going to come off the bench in Brooklyn behind Ben Simmons. So I don't think he needs to be rostered. Do you have any different thoughts on that?
Those were my literally exact thoughts. Schroeder, at first I was like, maybe he'll get a bump if he's in that starting role, because we know that Simmons is still ramping up a little bit, so he could start in the meantime. But I think it's likely that he'll be in a bench role, and if that's the case, it's going to be similar production to what we were seeing on the Raptors, which wasn't very good.
Yeah, exactly. He was sort of that guy that you could occasionally add and you can move on from, you could hold, whatever. Yeah. And I think we're in that same sort of spot. I think it's going to be Thomas and Simmons as the starter, but if Ben gets hurt, then yeah, we do go to Dennis Schroeder, but Dennis Smith is still there as well. So you're going to have the two Dennis S's coming off the bench, although Smith might, I've heard some whispers that Smith might get moved somewhere else, although he was in play, I believe, for the Bucks, but then they got Patrick Beverly. So who knows? And it doesn't look like much is going on with the Wizards in terms of trading on Jones or Kuzma or anyone like that. So that makes it really hard for us to consider, any increase in value for Jordan Poole. I don't know. It is a really frustrating situation in a lot of spots. What are we looking at here? All right, so, okay. Memphis is well, what are you doing with Memphis? Because obviously they're a disaster at the moment. There's just a million guys out every game. Is anything that's happened here, like moving on from David Roddy, does that, are you feeling confident in anybody? Because I can't say that I am.
No, I'm not. See, for me, my strategy with the Grizzlies, if I were to stream from them, I wait until I get that injury report, I follow it, and then I kind of make ads as needed, because as we've seen, it's literally changing every single game. So there's no one that it's hard to stream long-term from that team, except for, I say Vince Williams would be my number one, but he's already rostered in, I think, over 70% anyway.
Yep.
But outside of that, it's more of a just wait and see each game kind of situation.
I agree. It's just impossible to be able to know. I'm interested a little bit in Trey Jemison if they convert him, but they still haven't, and we still don't know what their roster is going to be. We still don't know who the players all are that are coming across in that trade. So yeah, it is confusing, and I'm with you on that. Zach says Dennis Smith got shipped to the Raptors. He did not get shipped to the Raptors. No, he did not. That was a mistake. He did not. He's in Brooklyn still. He's still there. There's two Dennis S's in Brooklyn. Schroeder and Smith are both there. He did not get traded. Yes. All right. Don't be shocked the Hawks did nothing. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked either. I don't think anything massive is going to happen now. But we don't know. We've got 15 minutes to go. Normally we'll get something come in, but there's not a lot going on here, which is...
Yeah. I'm just waiting for DeJounte Murray. I can't believe that hasn't happened yet. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to... Unfortunately, I don't think it's going... Which is weird. I don't think it's going to happen. They should have moved on from him, again, with everything that I've heard there, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, Walker Kessler to the moon, apparently, according to Jason. I don't see it. Hey, we got a trade. That lets me do this. Here we go. We got a trade. It is Doug McDermott to the Pacers. Reunion. Dougie McDermott going to the Pacers. For who? I don't know. No, we don't add Doug McDermott, but watch to see what happens in terms of who goes back. He was playing 15 minutes a night for the Spurs. That's interesting. I wonder what... Yeah. I don't know what he's obviously useful for spacing, and it's going to mean somebody is out of that rotation, like an Obi Toppin or... who else? Yeah, Marcus Morris is not going to play there. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder... That's probably just some picks going back to the Spurs, I would guess. I don't think this means anything, but considering we've got nothing to talk about, we might as well talk about that. No, we'll talk about.
Yeah, I see no fantasy relevance there.
We'll talk about Walker Kessler. People seem to think that's a huge thing for him. I'm not so certain about that. What's your take on him? A second round pick is going in that trade, by the way.
Okay, yeah, so nothing really there. But with Walker, I'm not 100% convinced that anything's really going to happen. Maybe a couple more minutes opening up here and there, but we've seen how he's been this season, and I don't think that's really something that's going to change anytime soon.
I agree. I think that there will be a couple more minutes is my guess, but I don't think that it's like this big 30-minute thing. The reason he wasn't playing with Collins is because of spacing and shooting, and that has not changed. So I don't see that as being this big opportunity for him to get into this huge. Maybe it happens, but it's not like, wow, there is a clear runway here, and this is very obviously going to happen. I don't see that as being the case. So at least we got a trade happen, but yeah, not a lot. At least that's something. Let's get the wheels back cracking.
Atlanta Hawks are keeping DeJounte Murray.
Okay. Well, they're idiots, and good for them. Oh, Marcus Morris also going back. Okay. They're keeping DeJounte idiots. From everything I've heard about that, it just makes no sense. I don't understand that at all.
Curveball.
Oh, well, there you go. So any hope of Kobe Buffkin is not going to happen. We already know what Atlanta is doing, so we've seen how that team looks. Just bizarre stuff. I don't know. It's just so weird to me. Again, given the impact that he has had in the locker room this season, I don't know why you would do that unless there was just no deals out there at all for him. Which is possible.
Yeah,
maybe just no one wanted him.
Well, there was a lot of rumors with the Pelicans too, but then not long after that was reported there was a falling out or something.
Yeah, that
Lakers
got shut down.
I think too. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of things, and then it just got shut down really quick.
There you go. So I was pretty convinced that was going to be a thing that happened, but like we just don't know sometimes. Like, I've put the wrong trade thing across there. I've got to adjust that. That's an old trade. I should have put the new one up. Stuff if you make bunches of plans for trades to go down, it just usually doesn't work out very well from a trade deadline perspective. Like, there'll be a lot of people who would have stashed Andre Drummond because they knew that he was going to the Sixers. Hasn't happened yet. Still might, but yeah, these things, your general rule should just be no. Like, whatever trade is, I just don't expect it to happen. Most of the things that happen sort of come out of nowhere, usually. And it's also why that when we talked about this year in the trade deadline, I didn't have like a really strong list of stash guys whatsoever because I just didn't see that. All right. When is the deadline over? The deadline is over in 11 minutes. We're waiting for 11 minutes. So no, there has not been any Golden State trades. We are waiting to see if anything else goes. Did I talk about the Suns and Royce O'Neal? I did ages ago, but I'll talk about it again now, Ken. The Spurs are likely to buy out Marcus Morris, by the way. I don't think anything about this Royce O'Neal thing. He at least gives them consistency in their bench rotation, but that doesn't matter for us here at all, I don't think.
No ads needed there.
Nope, nothing at all. Kyle, again, I assume you're new in here. What's the biggest must-add for the day? We're going with Marvin Bagley here. Does Champagny get more minutes with McDermott gone? Probably. I would think both him and Chetty Osman get a bit of a bump there, so I wouldn't think we're adding Champagny, but yes, I believe so. Dean says, Snyder wanted to keep DeJounte. He had a meeting with the GM, said he wants Murray to stay. Yeah, he did. I heard that as well, Dean. It just, again, from everything I heard about what DeJounte is being like on this team is pretty weird that would be what they would want to happen. But anyway. All right, here's a question for you, Kayla. Do we drop Jordan Poole if nothing happens in the next few minutes? Because he's obviously doing nothing. Nothing's opening up in Washington. What do you make of this?
I think it's really hard to justify rostering him right now. If anything, I prefer to trade someone like Poole, see what I can get, even if I combine him with another player, feel around some offers. But yeah, standard leagues, I wouldn't mind dropping him. In deep leagues, I think I would keep him.
I would. I'm maybe a sub, but I would probably hold. But Kayla, we have a trade. We have a trade. Robin Lopez is being traded to the Kings, and he is about to be bought out. That is where we're at. So there you go. Robin Lopez is going to the Kings. Did the front office just say they just took it away from Doc and said, please stop playing Robin Lopez, you absolute clown. So that I don't know what's going back in that deal, but yeah, there we go. It's another absolute nothing deal. Anyone want to do anything? And again, I actually don't mind having no trades. I do think that sometimes we get too excited about trades for no real good reason. But it is pretty anticlimactic, but a lot of people were suggesting that it might be pretty low. But then you get a lot of the aggregator sites that do tend to jump in and try and create trade options and trade rumors and a lot of stuff that, of course, never ends up happening. So there's that one. Let's see what else. The Bucks are sending cash in that deal, so that's also pretty important for us. Massive move. All right.
Nah, there's got to be something soon.
I am sure.
I'm holding up for one or two more. Come on.
I think we'll get. What's the time? We've got 8 more minutes. I think we'll get one more here, and then we will see. All right, just going to bring that graphic across just for completion's sake. I do like to go to completion with that. There you go. Robin Lopez to the Kings for cash, and he'll get bought out. So that is purely a monetary deal. All right. Is Josh Hart a drop? What do you make of Josh Hart and the Knicks situation? Obviously bringing in Burks and Bogdanovic. I think yes. I think Josh Hart is a drop, especially if there's someone that you want to go on at. I think Josh Hart is a drop. Yes. What do you think?
Personally, I kind of just wanted to wait a little bit, just because we still have obviously that Randall injury that we discussed before. But yeah, I think his value just really dropped.
All right. Any news where Goodwin is going? No, we haven't heard where Jordan Goodwin's going yet. It's either to Memphis or Brooklyn, but they haven't confirmed it yet. I believe it's Brooklyn, but I'm not sure. Is Gafford confirmed gone? Yes. He's 100% gone. I'm not sure why you're doubting that. A Gafford and Lively drops. I would like to hold, especially Gafford at this point. Lively's injured at the moment. I think that Lively needs 29 to be a 12-team league player, and I don't think he gets that. Whereas I think that Gafford in 26 can still probably get there. So I'd probably hold on to Gafford over Lively, but I wouldn't say they're both drops. All right. Trey Mann or Cody Martin? How do you view that one? Both in Charlotte, obviously. I think it's probably Martin, but I'm
leaning Martin.
Mann's more exciting, but it's still uncertain as to how they're going to use him or what his minutes are going to be.
Yeah, it really depends with LaMelo Ball and that ankle injury. Possible shutdown.
That's well, I just wish we could get some information about it, because it's really annoying to not know what's going on there. All right, what else have we got on here? How long to hold ads after the deadline versus start streaming pickups right away? I don't really know how to answer that exactly, Andrew, because that's going to depend. If you've added someone after the deadline for their value, then you're obviously holding them until they play. There's no point dropping them straight away. I think that it would depend on who. If you're taking a long-term view of a Taylor Hendricks or a Trey Mann, you probably want to give that until after the All-Star break to see how that plays out. But there's going to be streaming options over the next 2 days, 3 days, a lot of value there. Again, we're in a situation where there's not much happening in terms of standard league ads. So it is hard. Jordan Goodwin to the Nets. Yeah, I believe it is Jordan Goodwin to the Nets, but I don't think that I've seen actual confirmation of that at this point. All right.
Yeah, nothing's come through yet.
All I have seen is what happened there.
Wait, to avoid... The Toronto Raptors are playing to waive Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's from Shams.
Huh.
That's... Oh, didn't see that one coming.
To avoid a $1.5 million contract bonus for games played, they're going to waive him. So he goes on the buyout market. So there you go. For those of you who are worried about Emmanuel Quickly, you don't have to worry about that. That's not happening.
Yeah, that's our report to Chicago Bulls. Plan to keep their roster intact.
What does this mean for Bruce Brown's minutes? It helps it. Obviously, it helps Gary Trent a lot as well. But yeah, I think it means that I would hold on to Trent. I would probably hold on to Brown, because you've lost the 25 minutes that Schroeder was playing and haven't replaced them. So they can go to... And it also gives a boost to Grady Dick. So we will see what that means. I think that Dick is going to be I think he will be a 12-team league guy at some point. Very interesting that Bruce Brown is still there. I think that's probably going to end up messy, and we'll see exactly what they end up doing with it. But that is interesting. I did not expect that. Is Spencer a drop?
Yeah.
Yes, obviously. As this guy says. Any more Bucks moves coming? No idea, mate. All right, what else have we got going on here?
I think
Oh,
another
here we
trade
go.
just went
Yes, we did get another trade. That is great to hear. So I can, after all the effort I put into my little trade alert, we can put that up. It is Jaden Springer, which is just crazy to the Celtics. Well, obviously his value is done. That is a baffling trade. Honestly, I do not. That is huge for the Celtics. Why would the Sixers trade both Beverly and Springer away? Can you figure out what's going on with that? I don't understand this at all. Okay, what the? Anyway, Jaden Springer is, I don't know who for, but Jaden Springer is going to the Celtics. He will not play a big enough role to matter there. Obviously, he's going to be a backup in Boston. But what this does, okay, let's talk about what it does in Philly, because it obviously helps Buddy Hield now, because even if he comes off the bench, he's going to get a lot of those minutes behind Maxey. But their backup point guard is going to, it's campaign. It's going to have to be campaign. That is a unbelievably confusing deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for Buddy Hield.
It is.
So we'll take that, I guess.
It is good for Buddy Hield, but absolutely no idea how to explain what that is.
The thought process.
This is trying to see if I can find out who is, or if there's anyone going back. It doesn't look like it. Looks like it's just a second round pick.
I think it was just a second round pick, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is that. And
nothing there.
I'm going to just put that graphic up just for, again, posterity's sake. Just some wild trades that on the surface don't make any sense. And that Sixers backcourt now, it's Maxey and Campaign and Hield. So yeah, that does help Hield, and that means Hield, I think, has to be a little bit more value in a 12-team format. But I'm just going to check this out. But I wouldn't, maybe, oh no, Kyle Lowry's going to come. That's what's going to happen. Okay, yep. Kyle Lowry is going to be in Philly. I'm certain. We haven't heard that he's been bought out, but that is what is going to happen. He is going to come there, and that will cut into some of that value of Buddy Hield. There you go. Wow, what a wild and weird trade that is. And we've got 1 minute until the deadline. Remember, a few minutes after the deadline, things can happen. And Kayla will be out of here in a minute, and then we'll get our next guest in before we wrap up this show and get out of here. So Kayla, again, we're still sitting on your big ad is Bagley, and then where are you looking after that? Not much has changed since we spoke about it 10 minutes ago, I don't think.
Yeah, not really much. I'm kind of interested in Kelly Olynyk. Kind of want to see what happens there.
Yep, it feels like that was so long ago, but yeah, I think there's a chance that he starts. I think they probably do start Gary Trent still, but I could see them moving Barnes to the 3, Barrett to the 2, and starting Olynyk at the 4. And if that is the case, then yes, he is an ad. That's one of, honestly, I feel like that happened forever ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got the notification too. Raptors won't trade Bruce Brown. Interesting.
What are these? Anyway, what is this team doing? I don't know what the Raptors do most of this time. Kayla, thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us what you've got going on, and where people can go find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter, Kayla_Fonte, and also I have my own show with DMAC, NBA Fantasy Bible, called Between Two Hoops. We're going to be going live actually in a few minutes, so make sure to check that out.
Go and check out those guys over at Between Two Hoops as well. Kayla, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you. See ya.
So yeah, all right. Now I'll just make sure I can find my other guest. See if he is ready to go. Let's go and double check that. Is he? I believe he is here. I think he is here. Let's wait for him. Here he is, Poison Ivy himself, Adam King. Welcome to the show, mate.
Morning, mate. Good to be here.
It is.
Just catching up on a few things.
Let's just go through. What do you think the big winner is here?
From what I've seen, from what I've read, it's all pretty underwhelming, but it's probably Marvin Bagley, I'm assuming, is a winner. I'm looking through some rosters in my deep leagues at the moment and considering taking a bit of a flyer on Trey Mann, just see what happens. But that's it. It hasn't been really anything of note. I've just sort of read through that DeJounte Murray is staying for some reason. yeah, it hasn't been super exciting.
Yeah, it hasn't. But we did get another trade, Kingy. I don't know if you saw it. It's a blockbuster. We have got Delano Banton heading from the Celtics to the Portland Trailblazers, just for, I don't know, something
to do. I did just see the Jaden Springer one. That's a weird one.
It is a weird one. You're right. I do not understand it at all. You know how sometimes, like, there's a lot of people in here. I love everyone being in here. Sometimes you see comments fly through the chat and you're like, that's how I know that I think I'm doing it right. Where some people are like, man, Josh, shut up and let your guests talk. Or other people are like, Josh, you let your guests talk too much. So, okay, so I must be doing something right if people have got completely opposite opinions on how I approach the guests. So, Kingy, how big are you into Delano Banton here?
Sadly, not very much.
No, not really. Didn't think so. No. All right, so we got the Bagley one is the universal thing here. The other ones are going to be like Trey Mann, like you said. Taylor Hendricks is an interesting one. Kelly Olynyk's an interesting one. What are you doing with the Dallas center spot with Gafford and Derek Lively? How are you viewing that?
Yeah, that's a weird one. I saw that one go down, and it's probably one of the bigger trades in terms of who is being moved. It's a starting center that's moved. And yeah, I was trying to sort of wrap my head around who is going to start. Because they seem to like Lively and Lucas seems to like having him on the court. But Gafford, I think, has proved himself this season he's done more than I thought he would. I mean, I knew he was going to start in Washington, but he's actually turned into a decent player. So I'm probably holding Gafford because I think just based on what we've seen and where he is in his career, I don't think Gafford needs starters minutes to have value. I think he could play, like if it's a minute split, I think Gafford could possibly put up 12-team value where I don't think Lively could.
I agree.
So I don't know. We'll see. I think Lively's injured at the moment, but I don't think it's too bad. So yeah, I don't know. That's a bit of a weird one. It certainly gives them a really good backup center, whichever way they go.
Yep. Anthony Costabile says, you don't think that more usage opens up for Keontae George? No, I don't, because the players that moved out were below average usage players. The way that usage works is like, it's hard, like no high usage players left, no guards left. George was pushing up a little bit anyway, but the removal of Olynyk, the removal of Fontecchio does not, they are below average usage players. So that doesn't to me mean that George is going to get this huge boost. I don't think. How do you view the Utah situation?
Yeah, I don't see too much changing. I know Olynyk's gone now and Fontecchio is gone, obviously, but that doesn't really impact Keontae George, I don't think, too much. Yeah, I would like to have seen him getting more usage and more minutes. But Chris Dunn's still there. Like, they're just... I think they'll just continue to do what they've been doing.
Kenny, I've got to tell you, there's another trade. Another trade. Corey Joseph has moved to the Pacers. Now, I feel good that he won't cut into McConnell or Nembhard or Halliburton. But so our long international nightmare of Corey Joseph being the worst player in the NBA is over. So we don't have to worry about that. But what that does mean is my man Lester Quinones in Golden State should be able to find, I hope, regular rotation minutes. That would be my hope. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but obviously that doesn't move anybody's needle in any direction. But there you go. We got
he'll find a way to minutes. He always does.
Yeah, that is true. He always finds a way to worm his way in. He's like the Garrett Temple, except Garrett Temple doesn't actually play, which he shouldn't.
Yeah,
that's the Warriors' move, trading away. Again, some of these moves you see them happen, and you go, "Is this the GM going to the coach? Can you stop playing this guy? Like, what are you doing?" That is exactly,
was the Robin Lopez one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, Doc, for God's sake, can you and please don't say it out loud to the media because you look like you should be in a nursing home. Like, don't say this stuff out loud. And that's where we're at with that. All right, so Corey Joseph moves to the Pacers, back at homecoming. So,
as a former Bulls fan yourself, what are the Bulls doing here? Like, they've come out and said we're sticking with our roster
because their owner's cheap and he wants to try and scrounge playoff revenue if he possibly can. And they are just a horribly run team who will never have success in with the way that they approach things. It's ridiculous. Like holding on to DeMar. None of this stuff makes any sense. They're just idiots.
Yeah, pretty much.
So a lot of people that went and added Drummond, you're very clearly dropping him, I'm guessing?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think I've got him in our industry pickup league, but he's on my bench, and all I'm holding him is for is rebounds and some defensive stuff, and I add him when I need to add him, but we have a games cap, so it's almost like he's on an IR spot kind of thing. So, but generally speaking, yeah, nothing changes. So, no, if you added him in the hope that he would be playing more minutes, that's not going to happen.
All right, here's a question from Sammy Bass. Do you think Trey Mann or Amen Thompson is a better option?
Well, as right now, I think it's Amen Thompson because Van Fleet is out. But I think Van Fleet probably comes back after the All-Star break. Long term, I don't know. Trey Mann really depends on LaMelo. If LaMelo comes back anytime soon, but it's Charlotte, so we're probably not going to know until the day that he's coming back. So right now it's Amen Thompson. If you want to take a bit of a flyer on Trey Mann, like I said, I'm considering adding him in a 14-team league where I just need some guard stuff. He's intriguing. I mean, we've seen him do stuff when he's played big minutes before. So, yeah, Amen Thompson right now. Trey Mann, maybe a bit of a flyer.
I do think. I think Mann's a bit of a flyer. I agree with that. What was I going to say? There was someone I was just looking at here. Oh yeah, Trey Jemison in Memphis. I still don't know where those players all ended up. I believe that was Watanabe and Metu who went to Memphis, and Goodwin and Bates-Diop who went to Brooklyn, but I don't know. Jemison maybe gets converted to a full-time contract. How are you viewing the Aldama, Jemison, GG Jackson, Memphis nonsense? Are you prioritizing anything there? I find it hard to do that.
Yeah, it's a situation that I've been avoiding the last couple of weeks. And that's not going to change unless some consistency happens in the next week or two with their lineups and their rotations. But yeah, I mean, we could recommend a guy like Jameson or like Jackson, but if he's playing, if one of them plays pretty well for a week, there's a chance that they then have to rest for 2 weeks with knee soreness or something like that. So, yeah, I'm avoiding Memphis personally.
Joey, I'm going to put this up because it's a really obvious one. You say, what do you do with Onyeka or Kongwood? You just keep until Capella gets back? Well, yeah, very obviously. But I also think I think there's a decent chance he starts over Capella when Capella returns. And you know what? You don't have to actually make a decision on it until Capella comes back and we see what happens. So it's very, very obvious. Just hold on to him and then we see what goes on. A lot of the guys that people were trying to stash, like Bilal Coulibaly, nothing changes there for him. Andre Drummond, nothing changes. Like, you're pretty happy moving on from those guys, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I still think Coulibaly, maybe his minutes do start to, although he's been playing pretty good minutes recently anyway. Yeah, he's not the winner in terms of a stash, but it makes sense for the Wizards to prioritize him a little bit down the stretch. Although I think he is still pretty rough. So, yeah, the upside probably isn't there that we thought might be there. So, I don't know. If you grabbed him, see what happens. But I haven't added him anywhere.
Do players ever play the same day they are traded? No, not at all. They've got to get there, do medical. No chance. It's just not going to happen. Plus, the NBA actually go through and process all these trades, and that takes time.
Yeah, if you read the trade things, and I remember this from writing blurbs and stuff, initially they're just reports. So the trades aren't official, a lot of them. So, yeah, they can't play the same day.
Must be trouble says, I don't think anyone comes back from Memphis. No, definitely they are, because Watanabe is definitely going to Memphis, and I don't think all of those other three guys are going to Brooklyn, but Watanabe is definitely going to Memphis. And then the other one I think is Metu, but I'm not sure. Cody Martin is the winner over Trey Mann. Yeah, I agree. Kuzma can play small ball center? Yeah, I think so. A little bit anyway, but I don't think he will. I think you'll get a lot of Holmes and Bagley there.
Yeah, what do you think on Holmes? I mean,
a
few years ago, he was sort of this per minute guy that we wanted him to be getting 30 minutes, but he just hasn't looked great the last couple of years. And I know he had personal stuff that went on, I remember.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think initially my mind went to, is Holmes going to come in here and play a big role? But just after thinking about it, I'm not too sure he does.
King, are you a fan of Dick?
I love Dick.
There you go. With the absence of Schroeder, the waiving of Trent, do you think Dick is going to get 30 minutes? They also added Abaji as well, but I would think they prioritize Dick. But you still got Dick, Trent, Brown still there. You obviously got Quickly starting. The backup point guard for that team is who now? Like Brown, I guess. So what are you doing with those guys? Trent, Dick, Brown. Like, how are you viewing those players?
Brent, I don't really view him any differently because we've seen what he does in starters minutes, threes and maybe steals. So he just remains like a stream guy for me. I don't know. Dick's been pretty good. Like he has received some minutes lately, and he's hit some shots, but I don't know. I'm not sure I see enough there yet. I think Brown would be my preference out of those three, and then the other two maybe for streaming.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of messy situations here. I think at the deadline that we're still really not sure how it's all going to play out, and there's a lot to work through still here. And I don't think we'll even know really until after the All-Star break as teams sort of settle their rotation. It's a little bit of a weird deadline with obviously nothing huge happening like at all. What's the biggest move that even happened today? Who's the best player that was dealt?
Oh, well, I guess it's
Bojan.
Yeah, maybe Hayward. I mean, he's not who he was 5 years ago, but I think him going to the Thunder it's a nice real life pickup for them, and probably cuts into Giddey's minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So maybe, as I said, Gafford is sort of a big name, I suppose.
Not David Roddy.
Not David Roddy. Buddy Hield, maybe.
Yep.
Good addition for the Sixers. Although, what are they doing with their guards? I don't know. I'm assuming they're going to get someone. They're going to buy someone. Get someone off the market, like a Lowry or a Dinwiddie. Or something.
Lowry, 100%. They're getting Lowry. Well, not 100%. That's I believe that they're getting Lowry pretty comfortably there. But people are still like, man. So watch the Sixers. What are they going to do in the buyout market to replace Paul Reed? Nothing. They're not replacing Paul Reed. Like, who are they going to go get? Robin Lopez to replace Paul Reed? They're obviously pretty happy with Paul Reed in that spot at the moment, and that's going to happen. So who's the big winner today? Maybe it's Paul Reed as a must-roster player. Well, it's Bagley, but I think it's probably Paul Reed after that. And as nearly always happens, Kingy, the usual winners from a trade deadline for the easy one-to-one replacements are centers. That's nearly always the way it happens. All these other guys were like, we're not really sure what's going to happen with Trent and Brown and Hield and all these, they could play this role. Like, the winners are usually just centers or sometimes point guards, but usually it's just centers who have the big winners.
Yeah, yep.
Because it's just an easy one-for-one replacement. If you're in deeper leagues, Lester Quinones is the guy I look at as well. Very deep leagues, but he's the interesting guy. Kingy, I was going to go through for another 15 minutes, but I went an hour early, and there's honestly just nothing happening now. So have you got any final takeaways on the trade deadline?
Not really, no. I mean, there's nothing well, it's probably too late for anything to come through now.
So we're done, yep.
Yeah, so, look, pretty... In terms of, I guess, looking at the trade deadline holistically, pretty underwhelming. No big moves. I mean, we weren't expecting any superstars to be on the move, but was hoping for a DeJounte maybe or D'Angelo Russell, and that hasn't happened. So, interesting they're keeping DeJounte alongside Trey. But anyway, that's Atlanta. So, no, not really. I think couple of good real life moves, some depth and stuff for contending teams, but from a fantasy perspective, no real game changing trades, I don't think.
I agree. So people are asking, hey, can you give me some of this takeaway of ads? Like, I can give you like rough ideas, but I have to sit down and actually go through and project it all. And I'm going to do another show after this where I go through with my more winners and losers. But to me, it's Bagley, and then it's like, do you take a flyer on Mann or Hendricks or Cody Martin? I think we add. Then there's the bunch of guys up in Toronto. There's Kelly Olynyk, maybe. There's just a bunch of guys here who I think are just like nothing that's super, super clear to me as these huge winners or huge losers or anything like that outside of Bagley as the clear one at this point. But I'm going to sit down, I'm going to go through it, I'm going to have a look and see how it all plays out. But I think Olynyk and Bagley are probably two that I'm looking at. Mann and Hendricks. Like a Nembhard maybe, but I don't think I would go and add him. How would you like Asar Thompson? I think is a slight winner, but maybe not as much as other people. How are you viewing as your just final takeaway, Kingy, before we get out of here?
Yeah, much the same. I think Buddy Hield, if he was dropped, maybe you go and give him a look, because I think he'll have a more consistent role in Philly because they just need him on the floor. I mean, much the same. Olynyk in Toronto, what are your thoughts on him? That was one of the earlier trades, so I'm just sort of reading through again now. And I thought, that's good, but they've got Hurdle there, so does he play some 4 and some 5?
I think he might. I think there's a chance he starts next to Pirtle and they put Trent on the bench, or he plays 26 minutes as a hybrid backup 4-5. I think that makes him relatively interesting. Someone said, I haven't talked about PJ since the trade went down. Yeah, because I don't really know what more there is to say about PJ Washington. He should be rostered in all leagues. I think there's a slight boost in consistency of minutes, but maybe usage goes down. But I don't think there's a huge change there in PJ.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm just going to go through now and then maybe I think I might drop Gary Trent and pick up Kelly Olynyk.
I think I'd be all right with that. Kingy, I'm going to head out here because I'm going to go do this actual work and go and do this so I can come back with a show later that's highlighting some actual more data-driven takes. Tell people what you've got going on for the deadline today.
So I've got a show. My show starts in about 40 minutes on Twitter and on our YouTube channel. And I've got, I think you had Kayla on today at some point, and probably Dan as well, Dan Titus.
Yep.
So I've got both of those two on my show, as well as Raphael Johnson and Noah Rubin. So we'll be doing, I was hoping to do an hour and a half. I don't know if we'll be able to fill an hour and a half with the lack of trade. So we might do an hour show. And then we'll just be rolling with our normal stuff tomorrow, our streaming show tomorrow afternoon.
All right, go and check out Kingy's stuff. And guys, thank you for coming on. Kingy, it was great to see you again.
Thanks, mate. Fun as always.
All right, guys, Kingy will get out of here, and then I will get out of here as well. It's been a great trade deadline just from a participation perspective and having everyone here. And being a part of the show. We would have loved from an excitement point of view for more stuff to go on, but it didn't, so that's just how it goes. Thank you everyone for being a part of the show. We did get over 25,000 people watching this show, so that is awesome. Thank you to everyone for being a part of that. Hit thumbs up on the way out, and don't worry, there will be a show coming pretty soon where I actually go through and break this down. Once I've got all the data in front of me and we've sorted everything out, we'll come back with that later on. Guys, we are actually finally done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.